We are live. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you once again welcome to the King James podcast. And today we have with us a man who wears many hats. He's an entrepreneur extraordinaire. Uh, he's a man who is going to be a member of the Forbes 40 under 40. Make welcome Mayowa Balogun. How are you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing good, my brother. And I'm not worried about the Forbes anymore. I've left them alone. I'm focusing on my journey.
Anyways, congratulations on turning 30, in August, right? And of course,
Yes.
you've achieved a lot, you've achieved a whole lot. How are you feeling first off, being 30?
A little bit old,
Oh, wow.
30. When you get to 30, all the playing is over. You got to be serious now. When you're 20s, you can mess around. When you're 30, you have to kind of. I mean, maybe not have it figured out, but you have to kind of have an idea that this is where I'm going with my life. You understand? Or at least it feels that way.
Exactly.
So yeah. Nowadays,
Oh,
it's too magical anyway. Right. So yeah.
Exactly. I've seen something on social media recently. Someone posted something saying, if you're under 30, right, you can still be complaining
Mhm.
that you come from a poor background. But once you're
Okay.
30 and above, you are the background. so you can, so you can no longer blame your parents for your fortunes in life, when
But it's
you
funny because
are.
I hear that your 30s are your actually your most like years when you figure it out actually, right? Like a lot of people don't figure it out in their 20s, and your 30s is when you actually figure it out. That's what I heard from
eh,
older people,
mm,
right? But when you're 30 now, it
mm,
feels like you should have kind of have your path straight. But a lot of people figure it out in their 30s, and like, that's when they actually develop their. I think 40 is the one where it's like if you're not done, if you're not going forward at 40, that's what they're telling you.
that's why they say a fool at 40 is a fool forever.
There you go.
Right?
But I guess I have 10 more years
Okay.
to experiment.
To become a wise man forever, right? Yeah, but also, like your 20s kind of set the precedence for your 30s, right? Like they set a
Of course.
foundation. Yeah, exactly. I always remember one book I read growing up. It's titled "Invest Your Youthful Years."
Mm.
And I think we're roughly around the same age, right? I am 31, and then when I clocked 30, I think there was this realization in me. I was like, where did my 20s go? I think I was having that sober reflection, and then I thought about it like, okay, my early
And it was long.
20s,
It was a long 10 years, Abby. The 20s were a long time. It feels very long.
yeah, yes, it felt very long. Like I'm like, okay, what did I do with my life? Okay, I remember. Okay, I had like some academic achievements. I became a chartered accountant, right?
Wow.
I worked with some of the top accounting firms in the world. I was like, okay, I did well. Like even though I might not have made like so much money, right? But then like it set that precedence, for me in order to achieve like a lot of the things that I am now achieving like in my life, right? So I feel
Mm.
like in the 20s, probably people should just, use it to set that, background for whatever it is they want to like achieve in life or want to be doing in life, right? That's the time you can focus on building skills, for example, because like you have like less responsibilities and less distractions,
Of course, yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes, but then with the 30s, and then I don't know if you notice it yourself, like you feel some sort of like would I say deep or deterioration in energy when you start hitting that 30 mark. Like you don't feel as strong as you used to be in your 20s, especially your early 20s, mid 20s, right? And then you now discover that you need to focus more on, healthy living, right? You need to take your diet more seriously. You need to take exercise more seriously, right? You can't like, uh, would I say, get away with a lot of excesses that you used to get away with when you were in your early 20s. I don't know, did you experience that as well?
So for me, I feel like, and I would say it's mostly mental. Maybe not. I've not really felt physically that different yet. But I feel like I feel like all those things happened in my 20s because, like, when I was 21, 22, below that, I was like, I used to be very skinny, right? And when I used to eat, I didn't used to care. When I started 23, 24, I started getting a pot belly. I'm like, what's going on?
Oh, what happened?
I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I never had to worry about, like, when I was younger, all my friends used to complain. I was like, bro, like, I used to be skinny no matter what I did. You understand? And then 22, 24, 25, I started getting, like, adding weight, and my weight started going up and down a little bit. So I think I already kind of gone through that in my mid 20s already, and then mentally,
Wow.
um, I started out my life in many ways, like entrepreneurship and things like that, and kind of young,
Mm-hmm.
and even like the parties and the experiences and stuff. So by the time I was 28, 27, I was already 30 in my mind. Like, people used to tease me that I was 30
Oh,
years. Getting to 30 for me was just
that's
like, okay, I'm finally here. So I hope I
you
have.
finally here. That is a nice one. That's a really really nice one because people have like different trajectories like through life, right? Mentally, physically, like talking about the mental part, right? I teach. I can relate with that as well, right? But then I think I was getting close to 30 when I started realizing that you need to take your health more seriously, right? Like
Mm.
it hits different people at different times. But then I feel like you're fortunate as a person that it did hit you like early on in life. It's good to incorporate healthy
I
living.
didn't say I've changed. I'm not telling you that I started feeling different. You know that I've made any different. You know that I've made
Please.
many changes. I mean, I'm just talking now. I drink a lot of water. I drink for the
Good, good.
last 4 years. I only drink water mostly. I don't really drink a lot of soda and stuff like that. No coke.
Exactly,
I
exactly.
drink like 90%.
At some point in my life, I was addicted to Coca-Cola. But
Bro,
then
what? When I was young, I used to drink so
to
much Coke.
Coca-Cola. Yeah. I
I
was
think
I
that was the
was
year I
addicted to
started to drink
soda.
water at all. I feel like there's a year when I was maybe 20, my early 20s, I didn't drink any water at all. I just drank sweet tea, and like sweet tea was my
Wow.
like version of water for like a year at least. That was
Those,
I
those,
barely drank any water. So
those things are
that's
not
what
they
I
are
like.
not healthy. I'm not going to
Yeah.
forget the 30 under 30 thing. I saw it on your socials. I see your socials. I think on your 30th birthday, you made a post like, "Oh, you did not make the Forbes 30 under 30, and you hope you make the Forbes 40 under 40." Yeah, shed a little bit of light on that, over that rather.
Mhm. So I mean, I always had to go when I was I don't know when I started having that goal, but probably in my early 20s as well, maybe when I was 19. I wanted to make that list. I always used to follow everybody that made the list.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and especially the Africa one, and I felt like I could make it, right? But I think life happened, especially in the last 3 4 years of my 20s. I think life happened differently, and I also started to realize that I could have probably made those lists are very credits. A lot of people make those lists of merit. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people do great things and make those lists, but also there's someone like me with the background I have. There's ways I could have. I don't want to say this. There's ways I could have navigated to make the list. I could have kind of campaigned a certain way and put some 30 things out a certain way to make the list. And that's what I think a lot of people are seeing now with some of those people that have been on those lists. There's a popular phrase, the Forbes to fraud pipeline, right? You can navigate those lists and get there because you can kind of package yourself in a way where it looks like you're doing
In a
great things that
particular way.
you might not be doing. And so
So
over time, I started to realize that, man, you know what? It would have been good to achieve that personal goal to make the list, 30 and 32, to have my achievements recognized. But also, on the other hand, those lists are kind of, they're not as credible as they always seem. Uh, you can navigate your way to make those lists, and then you might be doing some things or be in a better place than some people that are done. Because I know some people that have been on that list in the past, and personally, and I know what they were doing, and I know that what they were actually doing and what they said they were doing on the list
what
weren't
you order
really
versus what you get.
yeah. So they found a way to get the
Yeah.
list. So that's what I'm saying. So ultimately, I just like, it's not more big. It's not as big as a deal um as it was for me when I was younger. And I think for now, it's just if I can be the best person I can be and do the things I need to do. If I make the list, I'll make the list. If I don't make the list, it doesn't matter. But
Exactly,
it'll be
exactly.
nice, but
Because
it is what it is.
You should be proud of your accomplishments. I, for one, I'm proud of you, anyways.
Thank
So,
you so much.
least or no least, no problem. No least, no problem. So,
Yeah.
what should we be expecting? What should we be expecting from you? For your 30s, like, what's like the trajectory? What's the roadmap? What are those things you have your eyes set on for the 30s?
Well, if you ask my mom, I have to get married soon. I start having a family.
Ah,
At
very
least I'm
important.
looking. I'm trying my best, but I don't know. I'll try, but we'll get there.
Uh,
So
the,
I guess I'll put that at the top of my list. Start a family, and just consolidate a little bit more. So like you said, 20s, a lot of building, a lot of
yeah,
learning. I'm currently doing my MBA right now. I'll finish that at the end of next year. Um, so we
fantastic,
need to start.
fantastic. We seem to have a lot in common. I'm doing my MBA as well currently. Wow, so
How'd you like?
that's that's
How'd you like the program?
yeah, it's fantastic. And interestingly, my business school is also the very first sponsor of this podcast. So it's called the
Oh,
Augment
really?
Business School, and yeah, it's an online business school taught by business leaders. The founder of Waze, founder of Wikipedia, founder of Shazam, founder of YouTube. They're all tutors in the program. It's really really
Wow,
fantastic.
that's very
It's
nice.
it's one thing. Yeah, it's a fantastic thing to build your business acumen. You get it,
Mm.
like for me, like I as a professional, right, I tend to have a professional framework that I appraise myself with, right, in terms of my personal development. So one very key criteria is business acumen. Business acumen, your technical competence, your global acumen. That your global acumen is your ability to work with cross-functional teams, right? Your whole
Mhm.
leadership, and you're building relationships. How do you maintain relationships? Because relationships are key, you know very vital in achieving success,
Mm.
in life, whether as in a professional career or in a business career. It's very important to build relationships. Well, business acumen is very key if you want to build wealth, right?
Right,
It
exactly.
is very key, and it's something that a good MBA program helps you sharpen. Yeah, it helps you sharpen. And interestingly, courtesy of the sponsors, right? The listeners that want to enroll on the program are entitled to a 30% discount, right? Courtesy
Oh,
of the
wow.
King Dames
Mhm.
podcast. Yeah. So if you sign up with the promo code King Dames 30, right, they have 30% discount on the program. So
That's
it's
pretty.
a, it's it's
That's pretty big discount. So that's pretty good. Nice.
yes, 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 yes. So we are happy. We are happy to spread the word of the MBA program. Like, it's always fantastic to have an MBA. Like, but
Yeah, it
really,
is.
for on your own hand, how are you coming along with the program? Like, what are the things you're learning? How are you seeing it? Like, do you think do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Like, what's your experience like?
I mean, it's nice. It's nice. It's nice. It's a bit hectic because there's a lot of things you have to do. But it's nice.
Exactly.
And I think it's some validation for me. What I realized in my so if I did my MBA, I did a postgraduate in music business, right?
Okay.
And I'm doing my MBA now. So I did that in 2019. And what I realized with these two programs is that there's things to learn, but like experience is still the best because like, a lot of things that are in those programs are things that I've already
Exactly.
experienced. So they're
Exactly.
relatable to me already, and it's just like for me, it's almost like it's a validation of what my experiences have been. So it's nice. It's nice. It's nice to kind of see that I was with or without the MBA, I was kind of on the right path anyway. It was
Interested.
also
Interested.
nice to have. It was also nice to have that paper and have that kind of structure and network with the people and all those good things.
Exactly,
It was
exactly. That's one word I was waiting for. The network. It's very, very important, and the network speaks to that part of my professional framework. That is building relationships. Relationships are
yeah.
like very, very important here in scaling up
And
and
and I guess people
moving.
respect you a little bit more. At MBA, people respect you a little bit different.
Yeah,
Not that it
exactly, exactly.
really matters. That's just people just look at you as an MBA. Okay, is probably smart and has some business sense or something like that, So why not?
Exactly, exactly, brother. Exactly. It's crazy how it's crazy how qualifications make people see you differently.
Mm.
It's just crazy, but it is what it is.
So
Qualifications make it.
actually, I never liked. I don't like that idea that people look at you differently because of what. But that's what it is. You're right. That's what it is, and it is what it is. So and
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
ultimately,
Because
go on. Sorry, finish what you said.
oh no, I'll say what I want to say when you're done. Like let me have your thoughts.
I was just going to say, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Um, what can you do? You have to adapt to it in a way. But and I guess the other thing you can do, because I guess what I also learned is that like one of my cousins is doing very well with his life, and he was telling me he will have done an MBA, but he realized that like all the instructors, all the people that are teaching him, they don't have a better business than him. Right? They're not doing the business better. They don't have more turnover than him. So like, what am I learning in MBA? So I'm like, you know what? Fair enough. Like, and that's why I mean, if you realize a lot of guys like Usman did the thing at Harvard last year, and a lot of the top guys when they get to the top of their game in sports, entertainment, whatever, they can always go get an MBA, but they get invited because of their level of success in their careers, right? As
Exactly,
opposed to,
exactly.
so I guess that's the other thing that you can do to balance it out. You can say, I don't want to go through that route. I just want to, do what I'm doing, and when I'm successful enough, people invite me and give me those honorary degrees or put me in a little program because of my achievements already. So there's ways to look at it. You know.
Exactly, like what you're talking about. Interestingly, the episode before your own episode, right? The guests that were on board were the founders of the Augment Business School, and then they mentioned some of the things you're saying, right? With the business education, they said something that inspired them to create the Augment Business School program. Was the disappointment that they had when they were doing their own MBA program in some top school in Europe. Like a lot of the tutors were not even, they were mostly academics or people who did not even have like practical business experience. And how can you teach me business without having, done business yourself? Like sometimes it's quite, disappointing with, the traditional MBA programs. But it is what it is. You need to have a balance of the structure. Academics has its place, and practical business experience also has its place. But I think the MBA of the future should be more tilted towards more practical business experience. When I told you that the founder of YouTube, for example, founder of Waze, founder of Shazam, are people who are tutors on this program. I think you were quite impressed with that kind of program. People would want to listen to you if you've been able to build a business from scratch to becoming a unicorn, right? Like people would want to tap into your business experience because you know what you're talking about, right? And it's practical experience and practical knowledge. So enough MBAs, right? Let's dive into you because the
So,
today's
so you were
episode is
asking me
about.
about my what I do, like what my 30s were looking like, and I don't think I finished.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. Let's.
Yeah, so I was saying I was doing my MBA now. So in the next decade, I want to. My family has a really a thriving business. Um, I
Oh,
want
a
to
thriving
transition into
business.
thriving businesses. To be honest with you, thriving business empire, I should say. It's a
Okay,
growing empire,
okay.
but it's growing. I think so.
That is
My parents did a
fantastic.
good job of getting it to where it is, and I feel like as they get older and older and older, I have to take the responsibility to start to look into how I can transition into the business and take it over and take
You
it to
have
the
to
next level.
scale up.
And
You
because
have to scale up.
a lot of our parents, especially the Nigerians, a lot of our parents, they were successful, maybe business wise, and that they never they never almost put the seed in their children to one day try to take over those businesses. That's why a lot of the businesses in Nigeria, once the patriarch or matriarch dies, the business kind of goes down because the children never either have no interest to take over, or they just aren't groomed enough to be ready to take over. So for me, I told myself I need to start to plan and think about, okay, my parents are going to get older and older and older. They worked very hard to get to where they got to. They've given me the training they need to give me. and I have to start taking responsibility to say, listen, I need to start to involve myself in the business and know how it works, figure it out, how we can start to scale and grow it bigger and even bigger and even bigger. And then my children will do the same thing for me. And then that's how those businesses last for 500 years. And more times
Generational wealth.
so that's a big thing for me.
Interested. So, sorry to interrupt you. That speaks to one of my philosophies, right? That speaks to one of my philosophies. I like to ask, what is success without a successor?
There you go.
Yeah, success isn't complete without a successor. So, a great one. So let me leave it to you.
Yeah. So, and also I have a lot of passions as well. So, I think for me, I've always been intrigued, and when I do it, and again, we're just going to grow those things over the next decade. To me, every passion can be a business, or at least a business opportunity. And because we met through MMA, our mutual
Mixed martial arts.
We also have a platform, Combat Sports NG, that that we're trying to develop as well. And that came from just listen. I watch MMA. I'm a Nigerian. I didn't see any platforms around that were kind of putting African fighters on the map, or covering, especially fighters that we're developing, right? Like even one of my things I don't understand as a hobby is I'm a writer for the People's Gazette, that's the Nigerian newspaper, right? And I started contributing to them for sports. And part of the reason why I started contributing to them for sports is because they weren't covering, like, if Jagba wins, a secondary boxing title, nobody knows about it until the guy becomes the world champion. There's no coverage, right? And it's just crazy to see even guys like Impa. Impa is now the world champion PFL.
Impa
And someone like me, I followed him from when it was regional circuits, right? Those kind of guys are not getting love. You can't find any interviews about them. You don't know their stories until they start to get recognition in those. So and I feel like we needed a platform for things like that, which is it's good that you're doing what you're doing. It's good that the African fighters are doing what they're doing. But so those kind of things. But that's for me, it's a passion project. Whether it does well or not, obviously wanted to do well, which is why we're saying we need to make it a business. But like ultimately, it comes from a place of passion. Right? When I was actively in the music industry, it was a place of passion as well. So those are the things that. So for me, in my mind, I want my passion to develop into things that can be thriving businesses as well. And I want to spend more time doing that. Even just like you're doing now. You inspire me because you're doing a podcast. And podcasts I know how hard they are to do. Trust me, because I have a podcast.
Very difficult.
I have a podcast, right? And I have a partner, and so I don't have any skills at all, like in terms of like editing the podcast or things like that. So what I do is I have a partner, and I will record, and he will do all the editing and stuff. And he has been indisposed. He's a married man. He's doing his things, and that's kind of stalled us currently. You understand? So I have to make.
But I can tell you for free. The editing part is not so difficult. I had to learn it.
I know. But I'm saying it's just
YouTube videos and everything.
Just having time to do it. Be consistent with it. Record episodes every time. Yeah. Get the equipment. So those are things that in the next year or two I want to get into and say, listen, I got to get into this thing. Content creation. And for someone like me, I have a lot of things to say. It's for sports, business wise. I'm very active on Twitter. And a lot of people like to see what I'm saying about things that are going on, in the business world, Nigerian politics, things like that. So, I want to develop that personal brand a little bit more, where my voice is, can make me some money, So those are the things I'm looking into the next decade. I got to get into, and this is the time. Content creation guys are going crazy, and you never know, these things go so, it goes so. A lot of guys who became big content creation guys were like, Jordan Peterson was a professor. I'm not endorsing anybody. I'm just giving them examples of people who have been successful. Kevin Samuels was a corporate finance guy, or whatever. And those their platforms became bigger than their jobs that they were doing, or their careers, and they switched completely. Right? So you never know how that's going to go. So I'm looking into at least exploring those passions a little bit more, and developing them and see how far they take me. So between those two things, I think the next decade, and having a family, which is a difficult one as well. Between those things, I think the next decade is set.
Nothing good comes easy,
Hey, listen.
Nothing good comes easy. Yeah, but then it's interesting, how we met through the world of MMA, right? But then, like, I'd like for you to talk a bit more about your passion for MMA, because I think you probably started watching MMA before me. I think I started watching sometime around 2019. But then I
Mm.
don't know who got you into the sport. How did you get so passionate about it?
So it's very easy for me. I'm a very big fan of sports. Period. Right. I watch probably most major sports available. Like I watch football. I'm a football, soccer. That's the regular football that we know. I watch American football. I watch basketball. And I watch MMA, boxing, all that kind of stuff. Right? So with combat sports in general, MMA and boxing, ultimately, I was never really a big fan. I used to kind of watch the big events here and there. I didn't kind of follow it. But then in 20 maybe 17 or 16, so I used to live in Dallas, right? And Usman, when he was still young in the UFC, when he would win a fight, he would host after parties in Dallas, right? And so from there we started. And I never actually met him in person and stuff, but I was always familiar because I knew all the promoters that were promoting his events, and they would start promoting the flyer like, oh, Kamaru Usman, UFC fighter, after party, blah blah blah. So I'm like, who's this guy? And obviously I knew guys like Conor and all the chocolaters and all the popular guys. Like, oh, there's a Nigerian. And for me, I'm a very passionate Nigerian. I'm always
Yeah,
very, I'm very
Nigerian success.
so the way I see Nigeria, I'm like, what's going on? And I always take the intention to jump on things that Nigerians are doing before they start to blow up and everybody's jumping on them. Because I feel like I know from being in the music industry, entertainment industry, that it's difficult when you're coming up. It's not when you're already up there, everybody's fancying you. Like, it's easy then, right? People need support when they're like coming up, right? So for me, being a Nigerian guy, passionate about Nigeria, seeing Nigerians doing things that are good, and just being on top of it, I started following Usman closely. I started watching all the old fights, started watching all his fights, and then I realized that Usman in MMA wasn't popular at the time, right? People didn't like him. I remember he fought, I think, Emil Mick, and he said, he fought at 30%, which I interpreted. I remember when I saw the interview, I was like, oh, it means that he wasn't healthy, right? But Dana says, oh, he's not putting 100% effort, and bashed him. I remember that. And everybody started dragging him. I'm just like, why? Like, I couldn't see. For me, Usman was a genuine guy. I thought it was interesting. He had a good story. So I never saw why people hated him. So I became just like a passionate defender of Usman. That's what really caught me.
I feel like the style, styles big fights, right? Like we like to see in
Like,
MMA. I
right,
think
right,
I think the
right.
style is also a contributing factor. He's a wrestler, but then
Of
people
course,
tend
of
to
course.
be drawn more towards the strikers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But then, so I get that part. But I felt like, and even when we speak around Nigerians, people say things like Usman is not authentic, or he has a boring personality. I'm just like, why? Like everybody must not be like flamboyant or whatever. But like, I think Usman is an interesting person personally. Right? So I used to always just be in comments on YouTube arguing with people, like. So I just became a lot drawn to him, and because of him, and obviously he was always fighting and winning, and eventually he's on eight fight win streak, 9 fight win streak, fighting around guys, and just from him being so successful, and me just kind of following his journey from tough and stuff like that, and then I started looking at, okay, if Usman is Nigerian, who are the other Nigerians that fought in the UFC before, and that kind of expanded to, okay, who are the guys that fought in combat sports, that's kickboxing, that's successful. So I remember like finding out about Easy, like a year before the UFC. I'm like, oh, who's this guy? This guy, Nigerian guy, kickboxer, star bender, very flamboyant, very funny, he has crazy knockouts. So I remember him making his UFC debut, right? So that became a thing where it's like I started becoming passionate about seeing all these African fighters come up, like from, whether they were poor, they were begging for money, or they have 2,000 followers, and you see them like fight and win and win and win. So I just became, and then I started getting into the sport more because of that, and then I started going back to watching all the old, legendary fights that I didn't watch live or that I heard about or that I saw highlights of. And just because of that, and then I think there was a month where I just like spent the whole month watching like old fights. And I just became like,
Do you have UFC Fight Pass?
oh, I have fight pass, bro. I don't play with
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Fight Pass
I
helps
don't
me.
play
That library is massive.
but
It did
right
help me.
now, like at this stage in my life now, I'd rather not go out. I'd rather sit home and watch it. Especially now that I'm in Nigeria, where the fights are like late. Like I was up last night watching, what's his name? Son Yadong fight.
Uh,
Very boring
yes,
fight,
on
by
your
the way.
dog.
I
Yeah,
was, I
but
was
then
up sitting and watching that fight. And the boxing fight too. Haney program, which was a good fight. It wasn't a great fight. It was good for Haney.
but what are your thoughts on the co-main event? That was Anthony Lionheart Smith versus this
Lionheart
Kerry King.
he needs to retire,
Uh,
man. I think
I
I
think
think he's still a good fighter. He's still a good fighter, but and this is what I'm worried about Usman a little bit with this same thing I'm going to say now about Anthony Smith. What happens with MMA is when you start to fall down when you get older, right? Same thing happened to Tony, right? You don't.
To a fair extent, yeah.
You're ranked in top 5, or you're number 1, number 2, number 3, even top 10, whatever, right? You don't fall down and they say, okay, you lost 2 fights. Let's give you a debutant, right? They give you you fall down slowly. They give you guys that are ranked around you, that are young and upcoming, that are tougher than you, right?
And they're hungry.
Do you understand? So you start to fall
and they want to make a name. They want to be their CVs as well.
That's what I'm saying, right? So they never say, okay, let me fighters don't get to be rebuilt. Right? You know how when the boxer is coming up, they give him cans to fight. Even some MMA guys, you got regional state, they're gonna fight Robbie guys and be there. You don't get when you're already old and successful. Right? You have to fight the tough guys on the way down. You understand? So Smith there's a lot of guys that Smith has won a bunch of fights in the last 2-3 years. I know that there's guys that you can beat that are maybe unranked or that are ranked maybe bottom 15 that you can probably still beat up. You're not going to get those guys. You're going to keep getting guys that are on the way up, prospects.
Yes.
Right. And I just think that he's not
hungry.
He's not that guy anymore. So you got to let it go. 35 years old, he has almost 60 fights, which is crazy for MMA. 50-something fights is crazy. Taking too much damage over the years.
Those fights wear on you. Yeah, the wear and tear is crazy.
And the guy has a great career in broadcasting. So bro, let it go.
Yes, exactly. And he's also a commentator with the UFC as well. So you're making money off of that stuff. So why do you want to continue to get the damage, right? When you look at fighters on their way down, I think it happened to the likes of what's this RDA, right?
RDA he's still kind of
it's fluctuating.
But BJ Penn and that's the Silva.
BJ Penn, Anderson Silva.
Look at Usman. I feel like nobody's going to think about how he lost to Leon in the first time. Literally,
very close, very close.
I was there live. That was my only live fight I've been to, that I've seen live, and I could not believe it. But anyway, so he lost that fight.
Very sad.
He loses that fight with 1 minute to go. And by the way, he was in the clinch. He could have stayed in the clinch. I don't know why they separated them, but that's a different day. I want to get into that part. Right. Second fight is so close. Right, so close. Leon is holding the cage multiple times, committing multiple fouls, to take the takedown that he didn't get. That he got because of the, a lot of fouls with the fight, not shots or all that kind of stuff. He loses. It could have been a draw, right? He loses that fight. That's 2 in a row. By the way,
how about Chimaev? How about the Chimaev fight?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Now you get to Chimaev. It's short notice, right? He should have said, I don't know why he didn't take 5 rounds, and he had the option to do it.
I was shocked.
It's a close fight. So now, we know, if you watch the fight and you're a fan of Usman or whatever, you know that he's competing all the time. Right?
Yeah, he's very sharp. And it's still game.
Chimaev is clearly, but now you get to the point where there's lost 3 fights in a row. That's what is on the record, right? He's about 36 years old right now. That's what it is. Eventually, you see yourself making excuses every time he loses. He lost. It was a close fight. That's when you start to know that, okay, now it's scary. Because you might be wrong. Maybe he was just unlucky and now he's going to get another guy and he's going to beat him up. But it's also when you look at Anderson Silva, the story is kind of similar. He lost, a crazy knockout to, what was that boy's name? Chris Weidman. In the second fight, remember in the rematch, he broke his leg, right? He broke his leg. Oh, right.
That freak.
He could have won that fight. You understand? Then he fights Bisping. He knocks Bisping, almost knocks Bisping out. The fight kind of continues.
That fight was controversial. I've seen that fight about 4-5 times, right? And it was a close decision. I strongly think he won that fight, but they gave it to Bisping, and it was in London. It was in London, so.
then remember in that his losing streak. I think he won one fight that was made in no contest because of the pop he popped. Then remember he fought just similar to what Chimaev did, right? I'm sorry, so like what Usman did with Chimaev. Remember he fought DC on short notice. At 205,
for the light heavyweight title.
When we have discussed in MMA now about Silva's career at the end of it, nobody remembers that all these nuances of what happened, why he lost that fight. You remember? Everybody just says, he lost 7 fights in a row. And that's what scares me about Usman's career. It's just bro, I
And
wish
then I
I
think
wish
at
we
some
shouldn't take
point there
that.
was
Yeah,
there was the
because
passing of the torch.
Cuba to
He
forget the
fought
story of how he got
Adesanya.
there. The last thing in a row. And that's it. Like, you're done. And then
Yes,
they'll be like, oh, he's a
that's
bomb now. Like, now people are already saying that, oh, Leon has only beat old people. They're not in their prime anymore. And who has been
yeah,
last?
yeah. That's what Kobe is saying. That is what Kobe is
Right?
saying.
And Usman is the guy who has beat twice in a row. So who's the old guy you're talking about? It's Usman. I don't understand. So now it's changing. And over time, hopefully Usman can get a win in there. And like play, he hasn't won fight in 2 years. Like play. You understand?
Mm.
So I'm worried about my guy, man. I'm worried about it.
I'm worried as well, right? And I think something similar happened to Tyron Woodley as well.
That's what I'm saying.
You saw the fall
But
of
to be fair, Woodley's zone was like
Tyron
bad
Woodley.
because he was getting like more every time. Like he wasn't competing. Right? So his zone was just like a fast decline. Right.
Yeah,
But bro, Silva even when Silva fought Rhea Hall in his last fight before he left the UFC, he was still competing. He was still competitive in that fight for like 2 rounds. Do you understand? That's the thing about like some of those very like annoying declines. Is that they are still competing. Like Tony is not competing with any of
Tony
those guys anymore.
Ferguson.
Right? For the most part, I mean, I think he competed with Chandler a little bit, but for the most part, he's just like getting beat up completely. So you know, like okay, these guys just hard to watch. But Usman is competing every time. Silva was also kind of competing with all these guys all the time. Silva and Easy was a competitive fight. It wasn't close, but it was competitive.
Yeah,
Like they were back and forth. And so it's like you see these guys like, oh, you can still fight because you're still competing with all these guys, but you always end up losing. So it's like,
like there's
I'm
that
like,
element of wash up.
yeah,
Yeah, there's that element of wash up, and I'm scared for Tony Ferguson versus a Paddy Pimblett. That's coming up
I
pretty
I have
soon.
Tony. I have
Top
Tony in that
thoughts.
fight, by the way. I have Tony. I think Tony can. To be fair, the issue in that
You
fight is going to
think?
be like the grappling. Tony can grapple him. We can't like those guys take him down as well. So I think Paddy will take him down. But I feel like I'm just man, I'm a Tony guy, man. So I think Tony can surprise everybody. I think he looks good
Yeah,
against Chandler. Now, he looks good against Bobby Green. Remember in the first round, dropped
yeah.
him.
He
Stunned
really looked good against Bobby Green. Yeah, and Bobby Green said, yeah,
him,
like he feels like he still has a lot of a few fights left in him.
fighting. And I think Paddy Pimblett, the way he puts his chin out, I think obviously the wrestling is going to be. I just hope he can keep the fight standing for like 5 to 10 minutes. I think he can keep the fight standing. He has a good chance to win that fight because Paddy has no defense, bro. His chin is just high like this. So
But
and he lost his last fight, but
it,
they gave him.
yeah, did you see what he's doing with David Goggins, right? The whole overtraining thing, going through Hell Week, and I don't
Tony is
know,
so
like how relevant is that, to success in
it's not.
MMA?
I guess mentally, like if you lost 5 times, because those David Gordon is very like he's like a inspirational kind of guy, right? Push yourself harder. So I think Tony needs it for his mind, so he can stay competitive mentally, right? Because someone like Tony, and I think like even Usman again alluded to, like I keep going back to Usman because I'm so close. I watch everything that he does, right? Yeah, and he alluded to it in his last after Chennai fight, like when you've won so many times and you start to lose. For the first time, you start to have self-doubt, right? So I think Tony won 12 fights in a row at lightweight, and you start before you know it, you lost 5, and it's like you start to doubt yourself and doubt your abilities. Like, are you good? Are you that good? Right. So I think Tony is doing that difficult thing for mental fortitude. I don't think he's doing it for any more physical. I don't think at his age now, I don't think he's doing anything for physical advantages anymore. It's just he wants to stay
Yeah,
mentally strong.
he does need that mental resilience, right? But
Yeah.
then
Fight in a row.
when you think about it, right? Sometimes something happens with fighters, right? You lose a certain fight, and it feels like your life or your body just changes. So, for example,
Yeah.
Tony Ferguson, after that Gaethje fight, he was never the same again, right?
Yeah.
Like when people fight Gaethje, right? They seem never to be the same again. And same thing with John Jones as well. See
Yeah.
Anthony Smith. He fought John Jones. He was never the same person again, right? Even DC after fighting John Jones twice, right? Like that this person is not really the same any longer. It happened to
Yeah.
Dominic Reyes as well, right?
Oh, bro.
After taking like immense damage like that. To even Thiago Santos, Mareta,
So
the hammer.
many guys, man. So many guys.
It's
Yeah.
just crazy, but then we wish our man the very best, right? And
We do.
I pray and hope that Usman would rise again, because we always love to see our Nigerian brothers rise. So before
Always
before
there.
we before we leave the world of MMA, right? Who are you rooting for between Leon Edwards and Kobe Covington?
Should I be
Matching
honest
those
with you?
two, those two
Should I be
stylists.
honest with you? Should I be honest with you?
Yes.
Honestly. And I've not been dishonest about this thing, like publicly, just in my heart. I like Leon so much as a fighter, right? And I've always liked him because him and his man have similar stories, kind of underlooked, for their way, and just, you know what I'm saying, they just kind of hung at, stuck at the job, and they just kept finding their way until they got the opportunity. So they're very similar, and Usman respects him obviously a lot. But I just didn't think it was the guy that would beat Usman, and I'm still bitter about it. That's just the truth of the matter. I can't lie to you. I'm just bitter about the fact that he beat Usman. Especially the way he beat Usman the first time, because Usman already had that fight won. Bro, I was live there. I'm already like tweeting about it. I think we're even in the group chat celebrating already.
Yes.
It was over. Like, what do you mean?
Like,
So
it was
I haven't
shocking.
gotten past. I'm not going to lie. So like, I still follow him everywhere, and I respect him. But there's a part of me that's like, oh, I'm so mad that he beat my guy. Like that. So that's one side of it, right? The second side of it is that I know that if Leon beats Kobe is Usman's best win. That's just the truth of the matter. You understand? That's Usman's best win, right? So, and Usman is like, they're talking about Usman is like, if not number one, number two, all time, welterweight of all time, right? If Leon has beat Usman twice and has beat Kobe, it's the guys that left are born in Masvidal. Now you're talking about Leon is like also top 3, top 4, top 5 welterweights of all time, because like he's beat the guy who's number. You know what I'm saying? He has beat the guy who's
that beat the guy. He beat the guy that beat the guy.
The guy who is the guy's best win. You understand? Mm-hmm. And obviously, there's context like, they are much older now. Obviously, Kobe has been active, but still, it's going to be the names. The names are the names. You understand what I'm saying? Leon has also not been. He hasn't lost the fight in like, I don't know, 7 years, right? So it's a similar thing to what makes Usman a top welterweight of all time. It's a similar story, like a long undefeated streak, beating very tough guys who were like, everybody was like, Kobe was the guy that would have been champion if Usman wasn't there, right? So if Leon beats him, that's what you're going to get, right? So now we're saying Leon and Usman are going to be like neck and neck. They're going to say if he wins 1 or 2 more, he might be Usman. So now that's kind of tough for me to kind of accept. I'm not going to lie. Now that being said, and to be fair to you, I'm not going to lie as well. Kobe, after Usman beating the first time, I don't hate him as much anymore. I'm not going to lie. I hated him like when he was talking about Usman anyhow the first time. As soon as Usman beat him up with that knockout in round 5, I was like, you know what? Who cares? Someone has beaten this guy up. Who cares? Like, you know what he wants to do, right? I also know that he's very talented. His style of fighting is typically tough for Leon. I told my friends, I have a different group chat than on Twitter. I told my guys,
that pressure fighting, and
before Leon knocked out Usman, because Leon didn't have any knockout. I think Leon had like 2 knockouts in the UFC before Usman, right? So now Leon knocking out Usman, and then Leon stuffing takedowns in the second fight. Now I know that again, there was times of holding the cage and things, but for the most part, I think Usman shot maybe over 10 times, and he defended like maybe 7, right? And he defended them very well, right?
Excellently well.
Now that I've seen this new Leon with all those new wrinkles of having more killer instinct, having better takedown defense, which he didn't have before, because I've watched all these fights. To be fair, Kobe is a different type of wrestler. He fights with a lot more pressure, and he doesn't. It's almost like Merab. He doesn't need to take you down and keep you there. He can continue just spamming every time you get up and he'll wear you out. Right? So in that respect, Kobe has an advantage, I think. But then Kobe is also 30-something years old. He can get knocked out. And I think Leon can frustrate him, because if Leon defends 5, 6 takedowns in a row,
repeatedly,
it becomes predictable. But then on the other hand, Kobe has so much cardio, so much pressure, and Leon kind of slows down at the end of fights. But again, he hasn't done that recently against Usman. We don't know.
Yeah, we saw the last time we saw that. Was in the Nate Diaz fight.
Right. So we don't know if it's because Usman was kind of getting older and he took that rematch too early a little bit, because he was looking gassed in the first fight. But then the first fight they'll say elevation, whatever. So there's so many things to kind of gauge and answer in this fight. I think it's 50-50, and whoever wins, it is what it is. May the best man win. I don't really have a. I think I'm okay with either person. That's what I'm okay with either person winning. Whoever wins, I'm okay with it. So
Wow.
let's get it done next week and let's see.
Interesting. May the best man win. Let's leave the world of MMA and get back to the world of Mayowa Balogun. How was childhood, and growing up like for you?
It was pretty good. I actually just did an exam yesterday in my entrepreneurship class. Um, so the exam was about us get to get identify an entrepreneur, interview them, and kind of get their story of how they became successful, what they did, how things like that, right? And for me, the person I picked was the entrepreneur I picked was my mom, right? Because my mom is an entrepreneur, she's kind of like my
Wow.
inspiration, like my biggest mentor, whatever, all that kind of stuff, right? And it's because I've seen her, like I've seen my parents as I was growing up, and I'm the first child, so I was the one that was there always. Like I've seen them transform. I've seen my life as a child with my parents, and my parents' lives transform as
Mm.
we're growing. You understand? I'm seeing them like aspiring for like things like at the time, like buying a brand new car. You understand? Or like building a house, or going abroad. Right? I've seen them when I was young, like see people they go abroad. Are you serious? Like I wish I could just, what I'm saying, like they'll be like, see this one, they just go to London like it's pure water. Like they're going to, they're going to Lagos or something, whatever. So I've seen that happen. So in that respect, I think my childhood was kind of, it was good because it got better as I grew up, right? Always and always. And my parents were always like, no matter what position they were in, they were always like very loving. They weren't always present because they were always trying to hustle and find their way. But that was the army moving around every time. My mom was trying to, chasing our entrepreneurship dreams and things like that. So um, they weren't always physically present there, but they were always like involved. Do you understand? Um, we
Interesting.
always had things that we needed. There's a lot of love around. A lot of my aunties and uncles I grew up around them. So I kind of learned a lot of things about life. A lot of my values come from that same time of my life. Like, I'm not very extravagant at my old age now. Because I didn't grow up with a very extravagant lifestyle. So I'm still okay being conservative. So I had a good child. My parents tried to put me in the best school they could put me in, right? They sent me abroad for
Education is best
university.
legacy.
So there you go. So I had nothing to complain about, man. I had a good childhood, man. And I love my parents and I
Oh,
appreciate them very much for giving me the best they could give me. And I hope I can do the same for my kids.
interesting. Hopefully, by God's grace. So, like, aside from your parents, who were your other early life influences?
My aunties and my uncles. So my house was kind of. I grew up in a very active household. My parents always had like their sisters or their cousins living with us at like, different times of our life. Um, church members, things like that. So, especially the ones from my mom's side, the uncles, they were the ones that I kind of grew up with a lot. They came from the village. They were always very active, very nice, very funny. That's how I learned how to speak pidgin. So they're the ones, and then obviously like friends, family friends. The ones that you're gonna visit. That's those ones were the ones that kind of that we grew up around. And then if in terms of other influences, I think that I couldn't reach out to physically, right? I think of guys like trying to think. There's one that is a big one. Um, like all the football players, we all had dreams of trying to be football players, of trying to play football. I'm trying to think of like the specific people that I used to admire when I was young. I'm trying to think about them right now. Like all the guys, I'm not going to lie. Like me, I always liked money, so I always like like Bill Gates. I want to be like Bill Gates, you know. Um, Warren Buffett, all those guys, we knew them from young. Like,
This guy.
These are the richest people in the world. Want to be like them. Want to make our
You
billion
always
dollars.
wanted to. You
I
always
go
wanted
pay
to
all
be a money bag.
so it kind of inspired us, And then like teachers in school, there's one of my teachers, Mr. Babatunde, rest in peace, great teacher from my primary school. Then in the secondary school, I had a teacher, Mr. Adugun, also rest in peace. I don't know why they're dead. But these are the guys that like, it's almost like they see potential in you, and they won't let you flop. You understand? And at the time, the angry is like, why is this guy picking on me? But it's like, nah, this is like, I see that you can be better. Like my Mr. Adugun, I struggled with math for a long time. Right now, math is one of my strong suits. But I struggled with math before. And just because Mr. Digo not let me struggle, just like, guy, I can smart. I can tell. Like, just, work hard and you just keep pushing me and call me in class, come and solve something in front of the board, and it actually made me better that if I don't get an A in my WAEC, I'll be owing 5,000 naira. I ended up getting a B, I think a B3, So I actually ended up paying it. I think by the time I wanted to pay the money, was there. So I ended up sending it to his daughter, I think. But that motivated me to try, because I was going for a C in that math. That'd be the B3 I got. Now they go push me. Understand? So rest in peace, Mr. I have to, now that I'm missing, I'll find a way to reach out to his family and maybe send them some stuff as well for Christmas, because
that would be very kind of you. That would be very kind of you. Like it reminds me of something. Isola Adesanya as well. There was one time one of his teachers back when he was in Ghana, typed something, I think on Twitter or something, saying that he's proud of him, and then he paid a lot of respect to that teacher. It's interesting how teachers are very big early life influences, right? Yes, I pride myself as well in being a teacher, but I wasn't privileged to teach children. I teach like very young people. I used to teach professional students, so like a lot of my teaching has been like adult education. But then it's a beautiful thing, right? Still, when I get to meet people who did not have any knowledge of accounting or finance, and then I instill that knowledge in them. I impact them, and I see a lot of them go out to do great things. For adult education, the gestation period is shorter than early life education. For example, I see a lot of my students have become chartered accountants and work in like big organizations. So sometimes I walk into an organization and I need something, and I see one of my students is in charge. Yeah, like it just feels great.
So I have a question for you. Sorry, I want to cut you about this thing. Like if you had to rate all the best feelings in your life, like where does this rank among your best feelings? Like when you see somebody you thought achieving
great things,
and you know that thing that you taught them is part of what God. Where does that rank among your top best feelings?
I think it's easy top 3, because even on my Instagram bio you see teacher. I put it up there. Like I'm really
proud to be a teacher. Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot because maybe top 3. What are the other 2 that you think that can compete with that feeling? Don't say some crazy shit now. Don't say something
that can compete with that feeling.
Don't do it.
No, I'm not saying anything crazy. Like I'm not about that life, I'm not about that life. But I think another feeling that could compete with that is setting a goal for myself and achieving it. Setting a goal for myself, because so some of my Igbo friends, they tell me that if I were to be an Igbo guy, maybe my surname should be Ekweme. Ekweme means talk and do. Like you say something and you live up to your word. You get it. So that's one thing with me. I don't like to give failed promises. You get it. I like to live up to my word, and then when I say something, I do it. I have a Jamaican friend, and then I told them about my podcast earlier in the year. They're also into podcasting, in London, and I think they did not believe in it or something, right? Like, okay, one of these guys, just talking about, I want to do something. And then all of a sudden I got a call yesterday. I was like, oh, you said it and you did it, right? That feeling was actually very great, when you set a goal and you achieve it. I think it's up there in the top 3. Now, whatever will be the third one, I don't really know off my head. Let me just keep the third one for some other time. You said what?
Yes. So the feeling of teaching is top 2.
Yes, it's top 2. When I really came to London, I think the first time I ever went to church in London, it was a Nigerian dominated our church. And then as I got in, I think after the service, somebody saw me. I was like, "Well, I know you. You taught me in Abuja." I was like, "Wow." Oh my wow! You guys are not going to even allow me, calm down into this new environment. Like I'm still seeing, and it felt really great, seeing people that you teach, appreciate. Okay, I think maybe the third one should be gratitude, because I'm very, very big on gratitude. When you go out of your way to help somebody, right?
Mm.
And you discover that
That's
the
a good one.
person, yeah, makes it, in life, or is able to use, the help that you provided them to make something good out of their lives, and they are grateful. I think, yeah, that should
You
be
know
the,
what?
the third one.
Just seeing people happy after you've done something that's just giving people joys. That for me is like the top feeling. Like making people just happy, and then extending that, like you said, like helping people get to their like goals or their dreams. For me, I feel
Yes.
better that I that's for me that's the top feeling like you can ever have. Like I feel like I'm happier for people than myself. Like if I achieve a goal, cool. Because I feel like if you're a good getter, you achieve your goals if you work hard at it. I
Hmm.
think
Hmm.
getting other people to achieve their own goals is just way better. For me, it's a way better feeling. Like someone that you saw like you were here and they get here, someone that is just struggling and they just needs something tiny and you just God uses you as that person, you just give them that thing that they need and you just take it and go with it. No better feeling than that.
Exactly. Because a lot of people go through like a lot of challenges in life, right? And they just need that one person to give them that nudge, that push, that hope in life. And I think that
Mm.
that's one of the main reasons why I started this podcast, basically because of the impact. When Urban Business School were going to sponsor me, they were asking me um, do you need us to give you money or something? So I'm not about the money, right? I'm about the impact, right? About you guys, giving me that platform to ensure
Mm.
that this podcast reaches as many people as possible, right? You guys supporting, the podcast with your platform, right? You guys are credible, and then you guys have been able to, bring on board a lot of like top entrepreneurs, top business leaders in the world, right? Having that brand being
Mm.
associated with my brand, right? It gives my brand a lot of credibility, right? And I'm not about, a crazy lifestyle. I'm about, impacting lives of people. I look back at maybe like 2008, 2009. I saw my skinny self in a suit on the internet,
Yeah.
with posting something about being a motivational speaker. Right from even when I was a teenager, I'd always been that person that wants to motivate people to be better in life. I think
Mm.
I don't know, some years back I saw some guy, in Lagos. I was living in Abuja, right? But I was born in Lagos and grew up in Lagos. I actually saw one guy in my place in Lagos, right? And then
Mm.
the guy walked up to me and told me that, wow, that he just graduated from university, right? And that,
Mm.
do I know that my words actually encouraged him,
Mm.
and that he said I encouraged him sometime, and then I prayed for him. I couldn't even remember that it was because of me that he did not give up on his education,
Mm.
and then
Wow.
he's very grateful to me. And, it really made me feel, you know, some type of way that day. Like I was happy and I was shocked at the same time. Like, wow, I never knew that good words that I had said to somebody many years ago, right, was the reason why this person did not give up in life. And
Mm.
from then onwards, right, it just became a bigger part of me. I'm very generous with my compliments, with positive remarks, with constructive criticism, even in my professional work, right? In the world of finance, that like I also work as an auditor, right? You are usually responsible for training less experienced team members, right? I always ensure to encourage them, give them positive feedback. You get it. If somebody is doing something that is wrong, right, tell them the great things, the positive things they do first before
Mm.
now addressing those negative things. It pushes people. You get it. So, but then in our age and time, a lot of people just tend to focus on the negative things that people do
Oh,
and
yeah.
want to always to talk about them. But for me, I'm very big on encouraging people, because in our age and time, trust me, a lot of people go through a lot of mental health challenges, and just your good words can actually be the difference between somebody committing suicide tomorrow.
Bro,
So
yes.
yeah, every opportunity you have, you always have to use it to impact people positively. So I think that thing really changed my life. When the guy walked up to me and told me that because of me, he did not give up on his education, and he believed in himself. So imagine if you had said a bad word to the person as well. Like it
Mm.
could be the reason why the person would give up. So a lot of people look up to us as individuals, right? And the society has given to us to in order to enable us to succeed, in ways that we have succeeded, right? And I think
Right.
it's just fair for us to also give back and encourage people, be the reason why people would not give up, or be the reason why people have hope to chase their dreams, right, and believe in themselves. And it has a multiplier effect because for every one person that is successful, other people, you know, get benefits from that person's success. So that's that is it, from my end. Uh, Interesting. So I think the next question I have on my script is, what's your inspiration behind your love for music and the Beam Group?
Um, I don't, especially from so music itself, especially from music itself. I think we just, just music is just a part of like human life. You can't really explain it. It just it evokes emotions from you, right? But in terms of the music business, which is what I'm thinking we're going to get to, I think my motivation that got me to get involved in the music business was and the same thing for me, the same thing like with sports. Now I'm trying to work with boxers and athletes and things like that. And the same thing that got me there is that got me to, I don't remember when it was. I just remember being young, and I remember Michael Jackson being bankrupt. I'm not even sure what he meant. I just know that. And I also remember like Mike Tyson as well being bankrupt.
Mike
And
Tyson.
there's so many
This
artists,
is
and there's so many athletes, and just like, and you see the story, and you watch the documentary, and you see the stories, it's like, it's how much money they made, this how impactful they were to people, this how much it means to everybody else. But like internally, nobody cares about them enough to almost make sure that they don't like I feel like if you impact the world to a certain level, you should be good for like you should be able to live a happy life till you die. Like
should
and your kids should be
be
able to
okay
benefit from
financially for life.
that impact. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be Mike Tyson that gave the world so much in terms of like entertainment and things like that. Made that much
Mhm.
money for so many people. Made your own money for yourself as well. And I'm not trying to absolve people of personal responsibility. And when you get into management and things like that, you start to realize that some of those things it's hard to get through to some people, right? To make them make better choices, and it's ultimately up to them. But ultimately, what I'm saying is, like people are comfortable taking from all these great athletes that are gifted and great musicians. Everybody wants to take. Will go and do show. Manager will collect, lawyer will collect, everybody's collecting. And I feel like people never. I think I just felt like people didn't give them back enough loyalty and just helped them to navigate their lives and just ultimately be happy and not end up being poor, right? So for me, I wanted to be that guy that when I got to the management, I cared about my artists and I guess athletes now going forward well-being. Right? These guys need to be financially secure. The career is not that long, right? You an accountant, you have a skill that you can earn money from till you die, really,
Yeah, well,
right? Even if
yeah,
you
for the
retire
rest of
from
your life.
KPMG, whatever you are now, you can consult. People can come to you. You can do a lot of things remotely, even when you're not fairly strong anymore, right? When you get to school, and that's the benefit of going to school, right? Which is one of the things that a lot of people that do those things, athletes and stuff, they should also consider doing. By the way, right? So, but like when you have and even if you're a singer, kind of similar, you can. But how long can you perform for? You know what I'm saying? Like at full physical strength, how long can you play football for, play or fight for MMA? Look at Anthony Smith, 35 years old, which is in life, that's actually young, like in life.
Yeah,
But he's old,
you're young,
right? So, but like,
but for the sport.
and MMA guys I mean, they don't make that much money anyway, so let's not get into them. But ultimately, like, think about those kind of guys, like you playing for maybe 10 years in your career, and your any potential for the most part is tied to that 10 years. Right? So people think about it like, oh, you're making so much money. Yes, but you're making money that people might make for their lifetimes in 10 years. Right? So all the money, most of the money you're going to make in your lifetime, you're going to make it, except you transition and do bigger things. For the most part, you're an athlete, most of the money you're going to make in life, you're going to make from when you're maybe 18, 19 to 32, 34. Right? And after that, your power diminishes like drastically. Right? So how can you maximize and let that money stretch out? You know what I'm saying? So that you'll not be stranded, like statistics tell you 3 years after people stop playing football or American football or basketball, you become broke. You know? So That's just the thing that just triggered me when I was young. I just didn't like the fact that people that have worked so hard for their in their and those guys they start working from a young age, training, you know, singers are I manage artists, I know how hectic it is to be an artist and performing and traveling every day and just doing shows and everybody's just taking from you, your fans are taking from you, you can't go anywhere and do anything, people just want to take, they want to hear you sing, they want to hear you talk, so it's draining. And after all that, having nothing to fall back on
Nothing
is
to
just
show for it.
that's what motivated me to kind of get into the business. I just wanted to
Uh,
be champion for the artists and the guys that are the ones that are actually making everybody money. You understand? And that's what kind of got me into it.
okay, but then can you talk us through briefly about the structure and the recent diversities of the music industry?
In what respect? Break it down. I
Yeah,
feel like I don't have
so
more.
so you see what's happening, like with the Nigerian music industry, for example, right? And now Afrobeats is taking over the world, right? And then
Yes.
we have even in Afrobeats we have like different genres of Afrobeats, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
looking at the influence way back to Baba Fela, right? And then also there are
Yeah.
also other genres that are also like making waves, right? But then in terms of the commercial nature of the
Mm.
music industry, yes, music is food to the soul, right? But then music is also business, right? And you on the business side of the music, right? So what's your take, like what's the structure currently? Because previously, I think in the early
Mm.
2000s, right, and
Mm.
late 90s, right, we saw
Mhm.
music not being taken very seriously as a business. But I think at
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
point, like some of the pioneers of Afrobeats, right, with the influence of I think American pop culture started
Yeah. Yeah.
taking
Sure.
music more seriously with the advent of digital streaming platforms, but just talk us through. I don't know. I'm a music
So,
lover, right? But then I'm not
so,
into
so
music business.
yeah. Yeah. So this thing you're saying is very multi-layered. We can actually do a podcast just on this alone. Um,
Yeah, that's why
there's
I
many
said briefly, please.
there, there's many things to look at.
find,
So
find a way to
for
give
one,
us a summary.
and I have a lot of very unpopular opinions about this as well. So respect to all the legends and what they've done for the industry. Because I think when I was growing up, right, when I was in high school, I remember being in just one, just two. And me, when I was growing up, again, back to my aunties, I was telling you about my uncles. They used to play a lot of Nigerian music in my house. Like the local stuff, like all the galala, all those kind of stuff. That's what I grew up listening to. That's what I liked. They liked all the American music too, but I didn't really like. I didn't resonate with all those guys when I was young. Cisco, all those kind of guys. Not really. I'm not gonna lie. What I liked was the one that was from Nigeria. Right? And when I went to secondary school, we used to be Ras people liking Nigerian music. You understand? People wanted to know how to rap 50 Cent and G Unit and Candy Shop, whatever. Like
Exactly. Back
we
in the days,
we
you're
were
bringing
we
you
were
bringing
we were
back
the
old
sing
memories.
we were the sing
Galala
small
go the rule us again.
they say this one are too if are too local, you understand what I'm saying? So so like see coming from that point and this was and it's not a thing that just happened in isolation. Nigerian radio stations weren't playing Nigerian music at the time as well when we were very young, me and you, right? If you look at the airtime, I think for every maybe two Nigerian songs they'll play like 8 foreign songs, right? It changed as well in the 05, 06, 04 era. It's where Nigerian music became like dominant in Nigeria. It wasn't like that before. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that when we're maybe 4 years old to like 7 years old, 8 years old, right? So what was I saying to get to? So ultimately, the fact that we got it from that point where we didn't really embrace our own culture and it's not just the music. Remember, when I was also growing up, I didn't want to wear traditional clothes. I wanted to wear mufti, Timberland, baggy. So all these things are connected, right? It's not just about the music. The culture is connected. Like we didn't want to embrace our culture when we were young. That's my personal experience, right? And I think that music helped us get to the point where we started to embrace being Nigerian and Nigerian culture a lot more. Not a lot of things have happened too, but I think music was the main driver of that. So, right? So in that perspective, I'm very you can't be prouder seeing that culture now getting to the point where we're not just embracing it in Nigeria but exporting it, and other people are embracing it. I remember again going to America the first time and all you want to do is be like a rapper. Now that guys at American are asking you about African things. Oh, jollof rice. Oh, this one. Oh, I want to wear the trad they are wearing or native they are wearing. Like, oh, what does this mean in So it's surreal to think about the fact that now people that we looked like people that we looked up to for culture, like African Americans, Americans that we looked up to for their culture, are now coming back and saying, "Hey, you want to share culture as well too, right?" And it's a good thing. And I wish I could embrace each other more, because I mean sometimes the thing they cause beef and we drag each other, and I wish we can just become friendly with it and just share and exchange and be happy for all of us for sharing our culture, right? So that's one side of it, right? Second side of it is the business side. The business side, I'm not proud of. I'm not gonna lie, right? What has happened is music, standard side music is generally, but for Nigeria, what happens is it's top heavy. What that means is that's like every other thing, right? It's like UFC, everybody at the top might get paid good money, but the guys at the bottom are not getting paid. But what happens is that the structure is not strong enough in Nigeria, and we're getting better. We've made a lot of progress, but not enough progress, right? Because guys like Whiskey's, Davido's, if you blow up, you make your money, right? You'll be rich. Those guys are making money that their generations will be okay for a long time. You understand? Davido, those guys making so much money, right? But they're not taking the industry forward as an industry, right? It's almost like they're just doing things for their own careers and themselves, right? If you think about, I was talking on Twitter about, I don't know how deep we can get in this conversation about valuations of like music catalogs in Nigeria, right? And we're talking about how, like, so first of all, Maven Records, I think they've been put up for sale, right? So they want to sell, I think at the 200 million valuation, something like that, I believe, right? And I hope they can achieve, because if they achieve that, that changes kind of the way people look at African music now. Because a label exited, that's like you're putting it at the same level as Paystack exiting with Stripe. So that's a crazy. You understand what I'm saying? That's a crazy
$200 million or what
dollars.
currency?
Dollars.
Wow, that is massive.
No,
that is
that's
massive.
That's it. They get a buy at that valuation. Remember, this is what they are saying. They value the company at for potential investors, right? Right. And so that kind of sparked the discussion about like valuations and things like that. I'm debating about, okay, what do we think Whiskey's catalog is going to be worth? Because a new class of investment that is kind of trendy now is catalog investing. A lot of these equity guys and hedge funds are investing in, like, you hear like they bought Justin Bieber's catalog, or they bought Michael Jackson catalog from somebody at $500 million dollars, something like that. So a lot of those guys are diversifying their portfolio and investing in catalogs of artists, because those catalogs can bring residual income in perpetuity, right? So we're having a discussion about like African music valuations, right? I'm talking about two-face, things like that. And I'm telling guys, like, these valuations will shock you, because a lot of artists haven't structured their business the right way. Copyrights are ability to be shabby. Who owns what? People don't really know. So by the time you start to get into, let's start cleaning up these catalogs. A lot of people will start crying. I was telling some people that, like, a lot of artists now that are legends in Nigeria, they can't find, they don't have access to their masters. Masters is like when you record a song, the original copy of that song, right? And you can be digital now, it's very easy. But back in the day, it was catalog. Analog, right? A lot of guys can't access the original master to their song, right? So they might have to go and download the song from online from somebody else. Do you understand? So this level that a lot of us are still playing at. So when we talk about things like valuations now, okay, who owns the song? Who wrote it? Who's the? A lot of guys, they don't do split sheets. Split is something that defines who owns the song. So I don't want to get too complicated with this, but like, it means
what percentages?
There's a written part and there's a performed part. So the part that you sing, when you sing a song, that's one side of the music. The actual writing of the song, the lyrics, and whoever did the sound, the humming, say the song will be do re mi fa sol la. Those people are called songwriters. The person who sings the song is the performer. So the two-face, the Whiskey. Now, a lot of times the person that sings the song also writes the song. So that person can be both. Right? But a lot of times too, look at things like people like Beyonce. A lot of Beyonce songs are not written by Beyonce. People write them for her, right? And those guys that write Beyonce songs, they also earn a lot of money from Beyonce songs. as well, right? In Nigeria, those songwriters don't usually get a lot of credit. They don't get credit on the song, so they can't earn residual income from that song. They just do studio with the video, or I'm not specific. I'm just using them as an example in this case. Right? They
That's
just studio with the video.
example.
Think one thing, the video go put out, maybe give them once more money, they've gone, right? So, but when we start to now get into the nitty-gritty of valuing a catalog, those things have to come in handy. Right? Who wrote the song? Who made the beat? How much do you guys decide to share the percentages? Those things have not happened in the past. They didn't happen in the past. And I don't think they're going back to some people I think are being proactive, but not enough. There are still artists today that are still doing songs. They don't have those splits secured. You understand? So
That's not reasonable.
when we talk about the
That's
structure,
shocking, actually.
there's a lot of things that we don't have yet. And Nigeria itself doesn't have a lot of. And again, that one is just a bigger issue of Nigerian governance failures, right? Our copyright laws are weak here. We don't have a lot of, then now there's things like AI, there's digital copies of music. We're still using analog copyright laws. So there's many things and we should have gotten past those things. Now the other thing is ownership, right? A lot of these artists are signed, they're signing their ownership away to foreign labels. Right? So even though the music is by Nigerian for Nigerians exported, we now own it. And over as we get older and older and older, even though this is our culture and our music, we won't have ownership of it, artists and even us as a country, because it's going to be owned by some wise men that own the labels in Spain or France or America or whatever, right? And that's a big issue, right? And it's a lot and you look at artist issues, you look at maybe, I don't know how much you follow those discussions of, this guy signed for this amount of money 10 years ago, now he's trying to get his master's back, and they're not going to give it to him, right? So these are the kind of things that we're going to have going forward, because a lot of people are signing their right away and they're collecting money today, and they're like, yeah, listen, I don't care, I just want to collect my money and be happy for now. And then eventually, when they're older and they realize how much assets they sold off with those masters, when they're now making residual income, and maybe there's a new app and the song is being used to, I don't know, in a game, and they can't earn much money from it, so they're earning 5 pennies per every dollar instead of maybe 50-50. Right? That's when we start to see the issues.
That's
So I think that this wave of Afrobeats being to the world should have been a time for us to now consolidate our business locally, so that we can be the foundation for these things that are happening globally. But we're just almost like the, what do I want to use for this thing that's going on now? We're just like the cheerleaders. We're not really involved in the business of it. Yes, again, like I said, the guys, the Wizkids, the Davidos, and their teams, they're doing pretty good. But as Nigerians in general, we're not really benefiting. You understand? And it's got to a point where we start to feel like our music was stolen from us, because we didn't put those structures in place entirely in Nigeria alone to kind of secure these things. Because music exporting should be a big part of Nigeria's GDP currently, based on
and it's a massive industry,
right? But it's not, because a lot of that money is either staying there, right? It's not coming to Nigeria. Nigeria is we're not really benefiting financially from our music.
But that's one essence of business education, for everybody,
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people do not even understand like the basic contract laws, for example, right? Business education is actually essential for everybody, and then I think it should be incorporated into our educational curriculum, right? Ensure that people understand business laws, right? People understand core concepts in business. People understand core concepts of financial management, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Like it will go a long way in helping people structure the ways they actually do anything they do in life. It's different when you're educated. The way you act, the way you perform.
Just to cut you short, do you know that? And I'm sure we've had to discuss this thing before, because again, of course, our MMA, there's no legitimate. Look at Nigeria. Nigeria is, again, like you said, this is the hub of Afrobeat. This is the center of Afrobeat. There's not one legitimate venue in Nigeria that can host illegitimate concerts. One.
That's crazy.
Same thing that we say about MMA, right? Remember?
Yeah,
Talk about,
about MMA, no arenas,
no
no arenas to host.
arena in Nigeria. The 200 million people in this country, the biggest economy in Africa, you don't have one legitimate performance venue. These are the things these are the low hanging fruit that we're not even talking about. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here? So you can't even say, let's even enjoy, like, see Echo Hotel, this one, Echo Atlantic, sound is still poor. Like, what are we talking about? At this level, so sorry, go on, Joe. I want to just add that.
Right, so it's really crazy. So I don't know how that's going to be done, but then I think in Nigeria, like the I don't know, maybe the Ministry of Education or something should try to ensure that business education, business law is actually incorporated into maybe like high school education, so that people have an understanding of what contracts are, because I know that in Nigeria a lot of people do not even honor contracts. They don't understand the sanctity of a contract. They just feel like they can enter into gentleman's agreements and just think you can just go with the flow or flow with the tide, ride with the tide, right? It doesn't work that way. A lot of people don't honor agreements in Nigeria, and it's weird and it's wild. But like, I think it takes education to get things right. When people understand the implications of agreements, the implication of contracts, right? How businesses work, business structures, right? The different types of businesses, right? And what entrepreneurship is about, right? It just gives structure to how people operate in business environments, right? So I hope that is implemented, and we can get it right going forward. But what would you say are been your challenges and achievements in the entertainment industry thus far?
Challenge is always money. It's always money, man. Money. I also, and then when you're a manager, like I was, because I'm still a manager, but I'm not really. The structure of my music. Anyway, let's not get into that now. But anyway, also the way the management kind of works is that it's almost like an investment in a relationship with an artist, right? Mentally, physically, financially, and the same way I'm trying to think of another. Same way promoter in boxing might invest in an Olympian that they sign, and they put money and they pay him, and then the day he becomes the champion, he might say, "Well, I don't want to renew my contract with this company anymore. I want to go to this other promoter." Right. So that's kind of similar structure with the music things. So you're kind of investing in somebody and somebody's career, giving it your all, and there's no guarantee of loyalty back. If they're successful, and if it's a very big if, because you take the chance. If they never be successful, you're taking the chance. The L is on you to hold, because you're the one that's invested a lot of the time, energy, a lot of times finances as well, but it's also, if they do become successful, then you're hoping that they'll be loyal to you. It's only hope, because even if you sign a contract, it's really only you can't really. It's hard to really. You can't force someone to be loyal to you. That's the best way I can say it. Whether you sign them or not. And we've seen this with people that have signed contracts and they've gone to court and they fought and it's bitter and ultimately everybody loses. Right. So yeah, so that's the biggest challenge. It's like, well, you essentially you have to have a lot of faith that your investment will even work in the first place. Because it's not like
That's a blind faith.
again, a finance guy and accounting guy, you can do model prediction and things like that. So you can see, okay,
Exactly.
I start this business and I put $1 million capital into this business, and this is my product, I can sell it here, or this is my customers. You can, even whether it works or not, you can at least visualize and project. Music is not really kind of the same way, because you're dealing with human emotions and feelings and people's very, very subjective stuff.
Exactly.
You can't
Yeah.
like with their head.
Exactly.
Just getting to the people's ears is such a difficult thing to do. Such an expensive thing to do. And there's so many intangibles, like the person's character, the person's work ethic, that you could try, but you can't really fully capture in a model, right? So we really just going on blind faith.
Models are, basically built from, quantitative variables, right? And premised on assumptions, right? And those assumptions are mostly, quantitative in nature. But then these are qualitative factors, and
These
qualitative
these
factors
are
are
qualitative.
not
So you can't
predictable.
really capture them. You can try
Yes.
over
So yeah,
even the biggest
it's
labels,
difficult. Mhm.
at the base level of understanding, even major labels, their strategy every year is they need to get, and these guys spend money on, and they have, trust me, they have all the data, all the streaming data, they have all the data you can have access, like any major business, right? To figure out the best way to go about things. But even them, they might sign 100 assists per year. They just need two to blow every year, one or two. Right? This is the model of the industry. You just need a few every year to blow out the ones that you sign. So sign an artist means you're going to give them money upfront and advance. Advance that is recoupable, which is that you can it's essentially a loan that you put forward that you can only make back from making money in music. That's when the music makes money. Right? So the music doesn't make any money. That's a write-off. Right? So labels are giving out
Sounds like a
big labels.
Wild
Big
Wild
labels
West.
they're giving out advances every year, maybe 50 to 100 advances every year. And they just need to give out two that. And I want to find one that goes crazy, like a Cardi B or a Taylor Swift. One like that is a Burna Boy that just goes crazy. That one guy is enough to recoup all their losses that they're giving everybody else. So this is the model of the industry. Right? So this is what, and then when you get to Nigeria, it's even more complicated and more opaque. So so you're really just it's really just it's an industry that you have to have a lot of passion for, because a lot of blind faith you're going to go in with, and just blind belief and just persistence and consistency until it works, right? And that's kind of what it is. So that's a challenge always, just like getting that reality that, man, you might put in 10, 5 years, $100,000, whatever amount of money you put in, and it might not work. And you got to keep going with your life.
Interested. So speaking of Burna Boy, you mentioned Burna Boy. That's the one Nigerian artist that I really really like a lot, right? I was looking at my YouTube music wrapped for the year, and even Apple Music summary for the year, and I saw that Burna Boy is the artist that I listen to
Is your
the
number one, huh?
most. Yeah, this year. So quickly, what's your take on Burna Boy, his body of work, what he has done for the culture, for the Afrobeat movement? Like, what's your opinion on the guy?
Burna Boy is a great artist, man. And me, I'm an OG Burna Boy fan. So me, I was a Burna Boy fan when people didn't like him as much, right? So if you remember, if you're a Burna Boy fan for Block, you know what I'm saying. When he first came out, he was like a cult artist.
2013,
He
2015. I think his first album was 2013.
He had a very loyal underground fan base. Then he actually blew up. Like the Party was a big song. That album was pretty good. And then he started kind of declining because his character, people like his character, whatever. He was always in controversies.
Yeah, if
I
you
was a
listen
fan
to
of
the
Burna
intro
Boy
of his
too.
album in 2015, yeah, he put that as an
I was
intro
a Burna
in
Boy
his
fan
album in
also at this time. And I
2015.
always just, I was check my Twitter recently, like maybe 3 months ago, and I said Burna Boy. I remember I was seeing my tweets from 2013, 14, 15, tweets about Burna Boy blow, go be so big one day. Right? So that's kind of Burna Boy fan. Funny enough, I don't like him as much now. Not because I don't like his music. Music still is. Burna Boy is probably as an Afrobeat artist, pure Afrobeat artist. I think it's probably the best one that we have, even over Whiskey. Right? I think Whiskey is just the kind of like the golden boy. That's one that everybody always knew was going to be. Like you know how people just like see this person when they're like he's like Messi. This guy's going to be a great player when he was young. Always. But that was one of the ones where you saw the talent was like almost like a Ben Arfa, right? Like it's very talented, but just get Wala and just hoping that one day he can put it together, and if he does, it'll be so great, right? And that's kind of Burna Boy's story. And I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to, right? Just on the data for so long. And I followed that journey step by step. I remember when he went to the UK after being banned for I think 5 years, and he did his first concert. I know when he got signed.
Yeah, he's
I
very
remember
big in
that.
the UK
I
right
remember when he
now.
changed. I remember this YouTube page he has now. He had started that page in like 2018 or so. That was his YouTube page. All the things I had old YouTube pages, they took it down and they put them on his new page. Right. So I remember him just like going through that step by step, and now him being the biggest one, arguably. But I think, honestly, objectively, I think Burna Boy is probably the more successful one now, right? Whiskey is always goes to whiskey, so I don't want to make that whole comparison. But I think in terms of just like you see how active he is touring, selling out all these arenas consistently, right? And he wasn't the one that was supposed to be there based on what they were saying, even though talent-wise, he always had that. And it was always a great. He gave so much to the industry. You know, even when it was even when he wasn't being listened to, you could tell that he gave enough to the industry where it's just a good thing that he's successful, man. And you can see that. You can see why he's there, currently. So respect to him.
Yes, I'm actually happy for him. I respect his artistry in terms of being able to balance good lyrics with good rhythm, good melody.
But guess what? OBO number one.
Interesting. I don't have like a favorite, so to speak. I don't have I love every artist doing great work from Nigeria, right? I love Wizkid, I love Davido, I love so a lot of them seem to have like crazy fan bases. A lot of them seem to have crazy fan bases where they will attack you if you go against any one of them, right? But I'm not about that life. I appreciate every
all of them. We're proud of all of them.
Yeah, I'm really proud of all of them. The Afrobeat movement makes me really proud to be a Nigerian. And then I think like it's a really great time to be alive, and to be a Nigerian in diaspora at this time. Like I think like I chose the best time. I'm fortunate to be a Nigerian in diaspora at the best time possible, because our culture has been embraced by foreigners, unlike what it used to be in yesteryears, right? So talking about your transition into other businesses, real estate, that is your Beam Properties, sports, and Beam Travels. Like, how's the journey been? And like, what are you currently putting in more energy into right now?
So remember, I told you one of my big things, especially my goals for the next decade, is to just have my passions transition into like businesses. So I have a lot of passions, and for me, I always, and that's why, like, if you see when you say Beam Property, you say everything is Beam, and Beam, by the way, is actually my initials on my names. So it's not just like a thing I just found somewhere. It's actually all my names, initials. That's how Beam. So that's.
Oh wow! So B is for Balogun.
Balogun is my Edo name. I don't like to say it publicly.
Oh wow! You have an Edo name. Interesting. So
my mom is from Edo State.
Why do we have too much in common? My mom is Edo. My mom is Edo State as well. Like my middle name is Sisi Mene. That is Asan. What part of Edo? You said what?
My name is Eromo.
That is prayer. My prayers are answered. Right?
There you go.
Yeah,
so,
Mayowa.
Mayowa. That's my initials.
Wow.
So for me, Beam is that kind of like my vehicle. It's almost like how people have like a I don't want to say this. How people have a family company, family crest that kind of has all their holdings in it. It's like a holding company for a family office, whatever you want to call it. But that's for the very richer people. That's kind of what Beam is to me. So it's like kind of like a vehicle for all my interests that can express in a business capacity, right? So everything I have a passion for, I kind of extend, and I say, okay, there's a business version of this, and it's Beam, right? And kind of all my trademarks, even the ones that are not Beam directly, like Combat Sports Engine, whatever, they're all trademarks that are under, right? That's holding, whatever, holding.
So literally, you have a Beam group.
Pretty much, that's what.
So more like a group structure.
So things like when you think about things like traveling, things like. So the way I see real estate for me is, you start to same like I guess I got here after a certain level of like reading, studying rich people's history, things like that. Like land has always been the thing that is a value. It has always been the major store of value, right? Land, gold as well has kind of stood the test of time, but land has always been the thing where it's like, okay, back in the day, people that were rich, they were rich by having land, like owning land. Just not just Nigeria, globally, worldwide. It was land was the thing that people used to show or at least back, farming, whatever. So land is always and that's where it comes with, like, is land value. So for me, with that idea in mind, is anybody who you start to you go through your life, start to work, aspire to earn an income. For me, owning property or land is something that must happen. It's not something that should be even like business or no business. It's something that you should always have in your portfolio. Right? It's property, landed property, whether it's a house, and that's, you think about the American dream, I guess the European dream is like, okay, work, go to school, get a job, get a house, right? Marry, right? But the home is the foundation of everything, and that home itself is the land. You understand? So that's kind of the thing for me. So for me, I always knew that, okay, from a young age, okay, once I start to make money, I want to start buying property, buying land, and whatever. Obviously, you start to think about things that, okay, if I buy property, if I buy a house and I rent it out, rental income can supplement me with my other income to the point where if I even have multiple properties, then I have enough money from rental income that I won't need to be able to even live on my working income. I can just say I don't want to work anymore. I just have enough property to pay my. And you hear stories of people like that. Oh, they chill when they bought one land in Lekki that was 5 million now, that is 1 billion now. And if they are ever broke, they just go and sell one land and they just don't want to survive until the next one comes and they'll sell another land. So just that idea of that's just there, right? And that's not even a business. That's just a thing that, okay, how do I have a portfolio and diversify it? Stocks, bonds, properties, whatever, right? So for me, that's how I got into real estate, right? And it's also the thing where I just need that, okay, as soon as I start to make any money, I want to always have property. And me, I'll tell you what it is too. When you invest, you're either doing liquid stuff like stock and bonds, you're doing real estate, or you're doing there's a bunch of other stuff, but people have preferences, right? So people like stocks and bonds.
Exactly.
People do all.
Yes, it's
Me,
tangible and intangible assets.
Right. I realize that I'm a lot more comfortable with property. Right. It's a lot more consistent. It's a lot more like you never be wrong betting on like owning property. Nobody. Now I think that might happen. Like you might overpay for property and the property value will go down for some time to go back up. But generally in life, if you own property, that's like the
In the
shortest
long run, yeah,
form of wealth. Okay, I have
it's
property.
usually
I can take collateral on it. I can do what I want to do. I can say I can borrow against it, whatever. Right? So I always I settled on. I feel like when you're, maybe not everybody, but when I was growing up, I started to figure out, okay, what I want to always have wealth and develop and build my wealth. People go through that phase of what should I put my money in that makes me comfortable. Some people like stocks, some people like bonds, some people like gold, and some people like. I do all of them, but real estate is one that makes me a lot more comfortable. So that's how I got into that, right? And then over time, you start now. You buy one land, whatever. Before you know it, you buy two. You do one rental. Before you know it, I want to get a bigger one. You just kind of transition. You keep going from there, and before you know it, you say, okay, I want to start developing. Do you understand? I'm not sure what happened. Sorry.
okay. You're talking about the capital appreciation of land,
Yes.
right? So you seem quite interested in investment properties.
Yeah. So I'll say, like, I don't know what you invest in, like what you like to invest in, right? But whatever you invest in, as a young guy, we just doing something that is on the side to grow your income, right? There's a point you get to in that stage where it's like you need to get to the next level of that investment. Like for example, if like when I started investing in stock, like not stock, when I started investing in liquid assets, I started very step by step. I started from doing, I don't know what they're called in the UK, but it's like fixed deposit, and just 2-3% you put it in the bank. You lock it in there.
Okay, we have things like ISAs here in the UK.
Yes, yeah. So I did that. Then I started doing mutual funds, contributing $100 a month, whatever, to mutual funds.
You have mutual funds as well.
Then I started doing stocks and ETFs that you could trade by yourself, buy Apple, buy Facebook, whatever, right? But ultimately, if you are doing it, if you're into it enough, you get to a point where it's like, okay, just doing fixed deposit it gets boring and redundant, right? Just doing
exactly
mutual
because
funds,
the margin of profit is very low.
this one is not sweet. I should get more because you're not yet. So it's like, okay, what's the next one? Okay, so let me go start buying stock. Okay, now you're buying stock, but it's like, okay, you're waiting for Facebook to go up. It's like, okay, options are there. Day trading is there. So you always find the next level of how can I become
investments
more
in terms of
risk, get bigger
profitability.
in this
Yeah,
in this lane. Same thing with real estate. You start from one house before you know it's you're collecting rent. You fight your tenants, you pay this one, you won't pay that one. You say this one, maybe I go do Airbnb. Maybe that will give me more
exactly.
rent.
Yeah,
Before
that's
you get Airbnb,
that's quite
Airbnb
profitable.
gone. They clean house every day is long ago. Maybe I should leave all this residential property and go to commercial property. I can rent people that are doing storage and they have stores or whatever. Or maybe I should go and buy, if you can afford it, go and buy a gas station or something. Or buy, just start to think about, okay, what can I do? What, all these things don't wrong. I don't want the own again. I just want to develop. If I develop, I go sell them. And that will give I'll make my money and move on. So you just kind of transition. So that's kind of what it is. That's why I'm saying all these things, all these passions, you can always transition them to businesses. So that's kind of how I got into that. And then music industry, I kind of had a bit of a downtime during COVID. A lot of things happen personal and otherwise.
I think that is touching on the next thing I was going to ask about, right?
Yeah.
I was going to ask like why entrepreneurship for you, and what have been the highs and lows, in entrepreneurship so far.
So why entrepreneurship for me? I think I was just born like that, man. Like I said, my mom is the biggest inspiration. That's what I saw. That's what I knew. That's what I'm comfortable with. I can't imagine me having to work every day. Like, and I don't get me wrong. There are a lot of jobs that are very like convenient that you can do in your own time. You get to level at your job. You can pick your own schedule, whatever. So I'm not going to act like, but still, I just some people are just like that. Some people are born and that's just how they look at their life. Like, I want to just create things and be in control of those things. And that's just kind of what I know, right? So I was always looking for things to do that would, I was in secondary school selling bread, washing people's clothes, just
Oh,
doing things that
wow.
would just give me my own, whatever. I don't want to have my own money and do my own thing. So that's just what it was. And then our entrepreneurship lows come every day. So many lows.
The
But I
major
think the biggest low was,
lows, the major ones.
but the biggest low I think was COVID, man. First of all, that COVID year. So my accident, I had an accident at Magic College at the time, they did only, and we had worked maybe 2-3
Oh,
years
wow,
before.
Lady Dolly. Wow, I have
So,
friends that went to I think uni with
so
her. She went to
yeah,
Jab.
yeah,
She went to
yeah.
some private university. Is it Jabu or
Somewhere in the
something?
UK. I don't really fancy.
Okay. So in the UK, right? So it means that she actually she went to secondary school in Abuja.
Yes, in Abuja, yes, exactly.
Yes. She grew up in
Right. So,
Abuja. Like I had mutual
yes,
friends.
she's in Abuja, yeah, fully. Right. So anyway,
Yeah.
so we had, like I said, you remember I told you story of marriage, like you meet an artist, you take a chance, and it's vice versa. They take a chance on you so that you be a man, you grade your work and you guide them to guide them up, right? So you take a chance on each other. You invest a lot of time, energy, finances, whatever, over time, and it starts to work out eventually, right? Best case scenario. So we started working, I think 2017. By 2019, we're doing shows, getting booked. December was very packed. We're doing 3-4 shows a day. We go to UK, go on tour, and things are looking up. Like things are going. Now we're talking about. I was in UK 20. I haven't been in UK since that time. I was in UK 2020 February. Like going to all these label meetings, trying to get deals done, publishing deal here, this one there. COVID. So COVID happens first of all, right? And only at the time a lot of our plan was based on her going on tour, like actively doing shows, UK, Austin, Texas, France, Spain, just
Wow.
and active
Wow.
showing up doing those shows. And so COVID first thing that happened was kind of shut us down. And we had so many things that were planned up, no money on the table, you understand? And everybody's like pulling out of those deals because like, oh, there's COVID, like no, there's no more fucking show. So everybody's like pulling out, oh, this show cancelled, it's further notice, this event cancelled, this festival cancelled. So it's like, damn. And then at some point in that session as well, I had some personal trouble and I went viral on Twitter for some crazy things that happened. And because of that, relationship ended. So ultimately in that 6 month span to a year span, we had worked to get to this point where already like it's getting to the point where you've worked and you're seeing the results coming, and it's just like you can only go up from here. And then first of all, COVID slows us down, and then me and her stop working together. and it's just
That's crazy. That's crazy.
because
Well, was that
like
before
it's like
or
you
after?
put everything into it, and that's it. So you have to go restart rebuilding. So it was tough.
Crazy, crazy. Like, was that before or after her collaboration with Davido? I know
So after,
she
so what I'm saying,
really
so
took.
that's so this, so the video, that's all the peak. This is all this, everything is going 2019. That's the video song is 2019. That's the peak. 2020 we're still going crazy, and it's supposed to go from there and go higher and higher and higher, and then COVID happens, and then we stop working together, and that was that. So that's the lowest point.
It's fine.
And after that time, I kind of appraised my life. At the time, I'd given music industry maybe 10 years. I started when I was 15, 16, being a blogger. Done doing shows in the and we I don't want to be, because a lot of people have done a lot of things, but in my own way, we're part of the kind of pioneers of a lot of things that are now happening, that are big. Like we're doing shows in America when it's not the way it is now that they're doing stadiums. We're doing music halls, clubs, you know what I'm saying? So we put that time, so we started from that. So I started from that, blogging, then doing shows, doing tours, managing artists, all that stuff. And then the time when it's like time to start collecting and benefiting. And it's funny because like right after COVID, I feel like that's when Afrobeats really, really, really started really like taking off.
And making waves. It
So
was
the money
like
started coming in.
the global pandemic.
And we didn't really benefit from all the time that we put in before that, so it was a bit tough, that's kind of review. So at that time, I kind of, and even to this point now, I'm still a bit of a sabbatical, a bit of a break, because it's like, what, I've put too much time into this game, and having to restart or rebuild, so it's a bit difficult for me. So so that's when I started doing a lot of more real estate stuff, because so at the time I was doing music fully, right? I was doing real estate on the side, like as a, I won't say it's a hobby, but like I was doing it like as my secondary thing, right? So as soon as the COVID thing happened, transition, I just transitioned. I'm like, what, I'm going to focus on my real estate. The music will still be there, but it'll be, I'll switch the priorities and put the real estate up there, because that one is, and I was like,
So
I'm coming
right
from a,
now, it's real estate like the primary thing now.
yes, it is. And I'm also, we also have a recycling company that we run, plastic recycling. But yeah, real estate is a big thing. But it's funny because life is crazy. That's why you have to also be ready to always pivot and have things that you have to. Because guess what happened during COVID? Real estate blows up, right? If you're a developer, for example, you buy property like property I bought before COVID, if anywhere is where I lived, a place called Windsor, Canada, affordable, prices go up steady, makes a lot of sense. COVID comes, everything goes up in price, skyrockets, right? And me, so this is why I stopped buying, and that's a story for a different day. But that's why the reason I left purchasing property to developing was, I'm like, man, listen, the prices are going up too much. So back in the day, when I moved to Canada, for example, when I bought my first property, you can buy a property and you can make enough money to pay all your bills from your rent and still have little income to survive. We're going to the point where the prices were so high that the rent wasn't going up as high as properties were going up. And so now you're buying a property and it's like, okay, you're just breaking even, or you're even having to come out of pocket a little bit to service the bills of the property. And that's without even thinking about a leaky roof or changing your furnace or whatever. I'm like, okay, this is now margins are starting to reduce, so it's no more exciting anymore. Development is going to be exciting, right? Because you
But
develop.
how about property insurance?
That's a different thing. That's a different career completely, right? It's still real estate
Like,
technically, but that's a different. So
no.
that's.
I was saying like property insurance is like sometimes like
You mean the
takes care
bills?
of
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm
those
saying. That's what I'm saying.
factors.
So all those things,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. But back in the day, like when I started in the business, your rent will cover my rent was covering everything, and I was still making. In fact, my first car that I bought brand new, my rent was paying it. My rental income was paying all the house bills and paying for my car. You understand? And I was still having some chicken change on top of all those payments, right? So at the time, it's not like, okay, if I have 2, 3, 4 properties, I can get enough property that can pay all my bills from rent. In theory, right? That I just started changing as COVID became closer, right? Because property started going up in value to the point where the mass, for some reason, obviously, there was a lot of stimulus, a lot of government were giving out free money, so properties what is going up, rent was staying going up, but not the same level, right? And that's what we're still facing now globally. America, you guys in UK, us in America, in Canada, you
The
guys in
rent
America,
has gone up.
mortgages are high. You understand what I'm saying? Properties are expensive,
Yeah.
and people are outpriced,
Cost of
right? So
living,
for me,
prices
there
is
you go.
real.
So me, I saw that coming because I studied a lot of economic models. I read a lot of historical data and stuff like that. I'm like, okay. But then we went into development too. Guess what happened there? You're buying wood where you buy maybe $2, 2x4, $2.50 before now it's like $4.50, right? So now we're at the point in developing too in Canada where it's like the cost of development is so high as well, right? It's almost even higher than the cost of sale when you finish at this point now. There's such a big disconnect because there's so much backlog of demand from when there was COVID. There was COVID, everything stopped, nobody was producing anymore. Right? So there was so much demand and so Canada is in the place where we have a shortage of property. So we need property to be developed because people are coming from everywhere every day, immigration. Right? So we have a shortage. But there's also the demand for development property materials is so much because of the supply that prices are so high, right? But then we know that from all the indicators that people are struggling to afford properties. So who's going to pay for these expensively built properties that you could build half price 3 years ago, right? So this so nice. So we're in the workplace. So Canada government is doing a lot of things to support developers. A lot of grants here, very very cheap payable loans. There were times to tap into, but again, when you get into these things, you don't foresee some of these challenges, and these challenges these are
It's that
they are
difficult to
historic.
predict.
They are challenges that come once every generation or 2 generations. These are not things that happen consistently. Things that happen once every 15, 30, 40, 50 years. Right? COVID happens once every 100 years. Pandemic. So those are things that you can't plan for, right? So a lot of log guys. So as an entrepreneur, if you're not like someone like you that's a career guy, or like a guy that's people that are doing tech that move to tech that and even the tech guys too, the ones that are not that didn't stand on their that didn't elevate high and high, they're struggling. A lot of those fringe level tech guys that did Scrum Master or whatever, they are getting thrown out now, right? So the world is transitioning, so it's just trying to figure
Yeah,
out,
you need to build that, business,
how to live in
business
here.
continuity, resilience.
Man, so this
Yeah,
but for us that are in this generation, this is on learning on the job because we haven't gone through this. The people that went through these things last are like World War II people who that were when there was wars in the world. So what we're going through
Great
now, we haven't gone through this
Depression
long time.
era.
So we're just trying to
Yeah.
navigate, and it's not easy. So a lot of challenges that are coming are very unique. So we're pushing through.
Interesting, right? Like I was gonna ask you about you talked about your time in Canada, right? Like briefly talk us through like what life was like, as a Nigerian diaspora. Like what was the experience for you? Like when did you move to Canada? Like are you back fully in Nigeria? And but really
So I'm in Nigeria now
how's
fully.
life?
I'm in Nigeria fully.
But
So
how's
I lived
life
in
like for you in diaspora?
I lived in Nigeria. I lived in so I'm 13. I left Nigeria when I was 16. I moved to the US first. I went to school in the US, and I moved to Canada after that. So I've been between Canada and US. I was there for maybe about 11, like 12 years, right? Ish. Right. But for me, I always kept in touch with Nigeria. I was always actively like a lot of my friends that moved around when I moved. Even when I moved after me, I kept up in Nigeria every time. I knew what was going on here. I had my bank accounts. I was always trying to do business in Nigeria every time. I came back at least once a year. Right. So I was always tied to Nigeria, no matter what. Like I remember I did my NIN before people that did it, before people in Nigeria did their NIN. I did my NIN. And I came to Nigeria.
And
I came to this.
I saw you I think you go back from Canada at some point to go vote in
Yes.
Nigeria as well. Like I'm like, wow,
So
this guy is really
I've always
passionate.
been that kind of guy, right? And going into like my experience in America, and Canada, I just put them both together, right? Great countries, opportunities. But for me, I never saw and Canada. I'm a Canadian resident now, but I never saw myself I don't see myself as a Canadian. That's how I can say it this way. And America, America definitely not because I mean Canada at least I have residency there. but America was a student, right? So you know clearly because you're restricted a lot to do. You can't do a lot of things. Like I couldn't buy a house. I could have bought my first house when I was way younger. Like if I was in Canada when I was in America, I could have bought a house as a student. Right? But in America, it's hard to do because you can't have a job, you can't have a full-time job, and you can't live on campus. The kind of rules that you have to have in America as a student. Right? So I never felt like I never got to carry away with what I was, an immigrant. You understand? And you make the best of it, but my true belief is that I won't say every Nigerian, most Nigerians would rather live in Nigeria if it was working optimally. Right? I think if Nigeria was working comparable to some of those other countries, I think that most Nigerians would rather be here. We have good weather. Canada is so cold in the winter, bro. You know what I'm saying? So and it's a different. I mean, I just never like my brother is a lot different from my brother. My brother moved to America and he kind of my brother he has been to Nigeria I think once since he left for like 2 days for my mom's birthday to surprise her. It's coming next week now for the first time, like actual holiday for the first time in like 10 years. Right? So my brother is opposite of me, so he's like embraced America very much. You know, all his friends a lot of his friends are like white. You know, so people process it differently. For me, I was the other way around. I just never embraced America or Canada the same way. I was always Nigerian. Understand? All my friends are Nigerian.
True, Nigerian, true. But then were there like culture shocks?
Because for
were
me,
there like
this
culture
job
shocks that's affected you?
It's same stupid ones. Like it comes like the first time you go, people can't hear. I really speak very fast anyway, but people can't understand what you're saying. Trying to speak for to them, it's just you sound weird. I remember trying to tell them my name was Albert because that's my middle name and that's an English name because they can't pronounce my Mayowa very well. And I ended up saying, listen, I can't, because they'll call me Albert and I won't know who they're talking to because nobody calls me my middle name ever. You understand? So like it didn't work out for me. So like all those kind of little things, and like they'll ask you like a lot of people are like genuinely like now I guess it's better now. If you go abroad, I guess social media has made it more equitable where people can see Africa and they can kind of have a better feeling about what it looks like or what it feels like. At the time, social media was just popping up. It wasn't like what it is now. So people were still like oblivious, like, oh, did you swim here or come on a boat? Like stupid stuff like that. And still, like, do you come on a boat here? Have you ever flown before? Like it's like, oh, how do you think I'm in school with you if I'm like, what do you think? Like, like just those kind of things. It's like, and for me, I just never related with. I think we're different culturally as people. Like I remember my first roommates, right? First of all, Nigerians were very loud, we make noise. Do you understand? Noisy, just noisy people, right? So that we used to have issues with our roommates. But also, it's just the way we deal with stuff. Like Nigerians, you want to go for, you do a birthday party, you invite people, maybe now you go do the food. You understand? You just make everybody do okay. American people, especially white people, them in my experience, they're very like, like you take an Uber with a white person, and the money of the Uber is like $10, 15 cents. They'll tell you that okay, you send me my $5, 7 cents of this money to the middle. You understand? They're very
splitting bills.
If in Nigeria, like okay, if you pay on today, if you pay on tomorrow, if you pay on next week, like who cares? But them, they're like, as you're in Uber with them, they're about to pay the money. Okay, send me my $5 7 now, so that I can say that you sent it to me, so that we can pay. Like they very, and it's like they don't round up and round down. In my experience, it's to the cent. You pay that money to the parents. It's exactly the way. You know that. So those kind of things, those kind of. I'm just like this now. That's not how I live. That's not. If I have someone like me that grew up with so many people around me in my house, sleeping in the same room with like 4 different people because we're just very communal in Africa here, and especially for my own family, communal. So that's something I like. I'm used to being communal. We don't want our friends to be around. We want everybody. If you can afford it, you take care of everybody. If you can afford it, whatever. And there are pros and cons to each style of living. At least because Nigerians sometimes we get carried away with taking care of people that it affects us personally, and we can't afford it. That's why we like to have big weddings. We can't, even when you can't afford it, it's like okay, I want to take care of it. So there are pros and cons, but overall, I prefer that, and that's part of those are the kind of things that for me I embrace Nigeria because it's just the way we are culturally here is just I understand, I embrace and relate to that more than you know being abroad, and that's kind of why, and that's why I moved back. Apart from the fact that I have a lot of hope in Nigeria and I'm very patriotic, which I don't know why, because
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
there's
I
no
love
hope.
that about you.
Nobody is
You
going
know,
for that. I don't know if there's hope, but we try.
yeah,
We keep pushing this.
it will get better. It will get better over time.
Exactly.
So as a black entrepreneur, right? Like, what are your thoughts on like black ownership? You know, taking over black power in business. What do you think
Man,
black people
listen.
should do? You know, to incorporate more in business, right? So what should they do to get better and to become more successful in business?
To me, so I look at black people. I had this conversation with somebody recently. Yes, we're Nigerian. Yes, I'm Yoruba. Yes, you're American. But if you're black or more, and this that's one thing, that part of the that kind of culture shock. That's one thing that you learn, I think, pretty quickly abroad. Black are still black, whether you're African or not. Obviously, some people might say Africans are educated and they act differently from the black people in America or whatever. But ultimately, if you're black, you're black. And I feel like black people need to embrace our skin color collectively a lot more, right? For this, and that's what I was talking about. Like I was talking about the music and the music and cultural exchange, and I was like talking about how we used to fight each other. Like I feel like we need to do more. Like we have more in common as black people globally, and all it takes is to go to Instagram and see like somebody talking about how in Jamaica, they're eating food and their mother slaps them when they are praying. Like we're all the same. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's black people are the same. Like we have the same similar cultures, and it's just I feel like if we're communicating with each other more, we'll have more common ground.
Yes,
Because
you see
that
these
common ground,
similarities.
that common ground is what we need to be able to elevate. I'm very big on group economics, right? You talk about, I'm sure the UK is very similar to America and Canada. The black dollar doesn't circulate in the black community more than one time. Not even up to one. I think it's 0.6 times before it goes out to other communities. Like when you look at guys like Jews, maybe I think the one is like 8.
Yeah,
Chinese is like
like
3.
on like the Jews, right? I
So
read that book, The Jewish Phenomenon. Like it's really like details how the Jews maintain generational wealth.
but we're always quick to embrace something, and I think I feel like it's the same issue that we have. The same issue that we have with Nigerians talking about Black American people or Black British people. The same thing that you see Yoruba people talking about Igbo people, even in Nigeria. So the same that even within Igbo people, you see that there's you really from this village and that village. The same distrust of each other that we have and lack of understanding of each other that we have that is plaguing us at every level of our groups. Even when you have a group chat on WhatsApp with Nigerians, with 10 people, 15 people, sometimes we can't come together and agree on one thing. And that's a big, I feel like that's our biggest issue. Everything is, for me, hinges on us just being open to, we must not always have the same, we must not have the same ideas. We can just understand that we have the same skin color. And if we embrace each other enough and collaborate enough, we can build on that collaboration. And everything else, for me, everything else is on the back of that, just us collaborating. The same thing, like when I was abroad, I fought hard for Africans to be together, because you live in UK, so you know what I'm saying. You go abroad, you are doing your accounting, you might not have a group of accountants in Nigeria that you guys can be together and help and say, okay, we're going to go to schools and find all the Nigerian children and teach and show them how they can become accountants. These are things that other communities are doing for their people. There's all these little groups and they're actively community involved, trying to develop the next generation of people. I have a lot of friends that are Arab. In Canada, if I want to buy a house, my realtor might be Arab. As I'm talking to her, she will tell me, do you need a mortgage? I'll say yes. Oh, I have my friend at the bank that can approve you. That just go talk to my Google and ask for this person, and that person is Arab, right? And oh, I want to change. Oh, I want to send money to Nigeria. I want to change my dollars from Canadian to US. Oh, I have a friend that changes money here. Go to his own, tell him I sent you. They have that very collaborative. If you have one Arab friend, same thing with Asians. Everything you need, they can give it to you in their community. They will tell you, okay,
In
no,
the
go to my,
community.
yeah, mention my name here, mention my name there. And I feel like we don't have that as Black people, as Nigerians, as Africans. We have them small, maybe in the church. Like, oh, if they go to the gym, okay.
Yeah, in small pockets.
Small pockets, like maybe if you are doctors union or I do community one thing. But even those, there's even more fighting than the collaboration. But at least they have, but we don't have it collectively. Where it's like, okay, I see guy with Nigeria boy, okay, I know see okay. I'm more comfortable to have a better shot. Like I I used to be on job interviews, and like the recruiter is an Arabic guy, and immediately see an Arab person for the recruiting line. They start speaking English. You understand? They're speaking. They're like, okay, the guy is like, yo, this is a like, wait, they see my card, see my extension. If you when you apply for the job, call me that you've applied. These are things that I'm seeing that happening on a job interview line. Understand? But even in Nigeria, the Nigerian person did that interview, and you did here, they will even make it harder for you than they'll make it harder for you than the person that is not.
It's crazy. It's crazy,
So
it's crazy. But then I think, like in the UK, for example, we're taking some steps in the right direction, right? We have some network called is it the ACN, African and Caribbean Network? At least they're like in different places, then workplaces, then schools, and then you have the Africans and Caribbeans, collaborating to do, great stuff. It takes a step. A journey of 1,000 miles, begins with a step, and I see that as a step in the right direction. So let's hope.
You guys must lead the way, because I think
Definitely
the British the UK British diaspora is a lot more. The history is better. You guys have like Caribbeans, Africans. You guys are more integrated into the culture than Africans in America or Africans in Canada.
This is so I hear, right? I'm not experiencing the American, society yet.
There's no difference. Like I don't hear things about like most people that I consider Black British. You can trace the African and the Caribbean roots directly to Africa,
yes,
or the Caribbean, right?
Yes.
In America, it's a bit weird, where it's like there's the people that come from the slaves. There's ones that come that are Nigerian like me, that were born abroad but are Nigerian, and there's ones that come like me at 16, 17 for university, and we're all like different. We're all
diverse.
I think you guys in the UK have a lot more synergy with your
exactly.
So you guys have to lead the way, and then I guess we'll take your blueprint.
Definitely, we will do that. We will do that. So, what are your hobbies, your interests, and the competences that you have, but then the world is yet to see, in a nutshell.
Interest. I think I'm a big guy. I'm a big sports fan, so I follow sports.
So in terms of sports, like what would you rank? Would you say MMA is your number one sport?
So I hate to say it
because we connected through MMA, and it's very clear. MMA is my own number one sport.
I can't say it because like football is so close to my heart. I just feel like I can't accept that MMA can pass football. I just can't accept it.
You just have to accept it. You need to accept it and know peace. I have accepted it.
But truly, I'm like, when I'm watching those sports, I feel like they're all number one at that time. That's just the truth of the matter. Like I follow them religiously. I follow like the NFL, and even in Nigeria, where like those American sports are like late in the night. Like bro, NFL just like MMA is like I'm up on Monday night watching Monday night football, America, NFL. Like I'm up, like so. I'm a big Jesus Christ. So big fan of sports. I love politics, business. So when I say I love business, I'm not just doing business. I mean talking about business. Like even talking about loving sports. Part of my love for sports is loving the sports business itself. Like I'm always looking up player contracts, seeing how long they sign, which one is guaranteed money or which one is not guaranteed. Like I'm actively checking the business. Okay, I did this. This club is worth that amount of money, so they can do this. Like I'm always thinking about, and it's like sometimes when I'm talking to my group chats, like bro, why are you not a fan? Which one is? Why are you worried about how they are spending their money? I'm overspending. Arsenal is overspending. Like Arsenal both can have it for 65 million. Why didn't Arteta and Edu wait? Just this guy is a Chelsea player. Chelsea needs money. Nobody's chasing this guy. Why are you rushing to buy him? Just from a purely economic standpoint, like negotiation. Like, why are you rushing to buy? Why can't you wait for 1 more month when they're more desperate and they'll probably sell it for less? Like those kind of, it's like, bro, why you care? Like if it's a good player, it's a good player. Like, but like, no, like what do you mean? Like that money can opportunity cost of the money can go. You know, you can have bought it for this amount and use that money to buy another person. So just having discussions about the business of things that happen, sports, politics, entertainment. Just is a big hobby for me. I spend a lot of time just random number crunching of just random things, right? I love to read, listen to music, obviously. I love to travel. That's part of when you talk about being travel. I like to travel. I like to travel by road.
Wow.
As well, but also like I like to road trip. Like I've been to about 21 Nigerian states. I've traveled all the way to Ivory Coast by road. I want to do like West Africa by road at some point. All the cities.
Are you like interested in like historical and geographical monuments whenever you travel?
I'm a big history buff. That's part of what. So when I travel all the places, I'm always like I go to all the museums I can, all the big historical places like landmarks. It goes to my Instagram. You see, I'm always if I take pictures, you see me in some historical places that I've been. That's
wow,
like
nice.
that's my biggest reason to travel. Is like explore culture, explore history, figure out why someone like me that is in Nigeria and someone that is in Benin are different. Like what made us different? How they do their things here that don't from us? And how does the history tie to that culture? Because the way the culture is, there's a reason why it became like that. There's a history behind it. So how do we being from Nigeria, being from Benin, the same people before, but somebody draw one map one day, and now we had the culture changed. How did the history change that culture? So those kind of things have and to like seeing, like I went to Ghana, I saw the slave coast place, putting those things in perspective, like seeing how some of those people lived, see where they locked them when they were stubborn, like those things.
Interesting.
Just
Like
put
it's something I'm
opens
also
your thoughts.
very highly interested in as well. History, geography, like
Love
they're my
history.
thing. Yeah,
Love history.
yeah. Common interest, right? And then circling back to MMA, right? I think in the world of MMA, like in the global space for Nigerians, I think in terms of knowledgeable Nigerians, in MMA, I think I'll put myself and yourself, and this is being conservative, in the top 20 most knowledgeable Nigerians.
I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, like think about it. Top 20.
There's some strong people, yes, but true, I think 20
Yeah,
should be fair.
top 20. Come on.
20 is
Myself, yourself, Jibril Amino of African Fighters, maybe Farouk as well. Like, I think easily we sneak into that top 20. We are
the guys in
in
our
the
group are
first
pretty
20.
knowledgeable. Then the guys that do that
Yeah,
podcast in
Jibril
Abuja.
Amino. Yeah. Yeah.
No, not them. There's
Then
another
and there's a Young Jollof
them,
as well.
them, they're pretty.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
they fought MMA as well. So them they're pretty.
Yes,
They're in.
exactly. I think at least if we do not make Forbes 30 under 30, we make
They made
MMA
MMA.
30 under 30.
But you know what? We should be the gatekeepers of this industry in Nigeria.
In Nigeria,
the money must pass.
exactly.
The money must pass through us because now we know the knowledge. Now we get the
Exactly.
And that's why,
Because,
like when I speak to Farouk and Jibril about AKO, I feel a bit. I feel a bit like they're not listening, and even Jibril, like they're not. I don't think these guys have passion. They have any passion for the sport itself. I think they just want to run the business, which I don't want to get into that today. But they need to have more passionate people in those rooms trying to grow the sport.
In AKO.
Yeah, and the many other there's like 3 or 4 other ones I've seen promotions. You all need to have people that are passionate
in
about
Nigeria.
Yeah,
in Nigeria. Yeah, but then I see Kamaru's man is actually like heavily invested in the AKO show.
I think again this one is under. I think that he is I think what happened was that they did the AKO show. That's the actual show itself. Remember, it was a show like tough, right? I think so that they were not going to have success with that format as a standalone format. So then they went to Usman and said, "Hey, listen, I'll offer you a stake and offer you a chunk of money." Obviously, aligns with Usman's goals. Usman is like, well, I'm sure that's Usman is probably thinking, I want to start I want to find a way to give back to Nigeria. So I'm sure there was synergy there. Now, I don't think it's not Osman's project. It's definitely not like it's definitely, I think he's just involved as an advisor, consultant kind of level, right?
An ambassador or something.
But funny thing, like even a guy like Usman, even like guys like Easy, there are guys that to operate in Nigeria, they need guidance of people like you and Farouk and Mayowa that understand Nigeria and understand the sport and
The
understand how
sport
the
as
village
well.
can work. You understand what I'm saying? What they have is people that have money that say Usman is champion. So let's get into to endorse. And Usman, listen, he doesn't live in Nigeria. He embraces the fact that or the idea that he thinks they have knowledge. That's good enough for him. These people know what they're doing. They're going to pay me money. They're going to pay me money. They're going to give me a stake in the company. I'll endorse it. I'll try to come to Nigeria once a year, twice a year, meet the fighters. That's what he can do. He doesn't need to do more than what he's doing, but he can't run he can't run day-to-day operations of that business. That's their job.
Exactly.
But those guys themselves, they're probably very good business people, good businessmen, good businesswomen. But in terms of the sports and the business of MMA, I don't think that they, I don't think they know what they're doing per se, right? And it doesn't mean like it can still work as a feeder league, even without them. I just think that it's because think about MMA again. Yeah, talking to you is good for me because not only are you MMA fan, you're a business guy, so you understand.
Wider perspective, right?
The UFC
Wider
is the
perspective.
only MMA company that is making money. Period.
Exactly.
Financial,
Exactly.
like think about globally.
Currently,
The only company that is making money doing MMA as a business is the UFC. The Bellator made money for a time. I don't know. I think by the time they got sold, they were not making money anymore. Like they were not making a profit. They wasn't making money. They were not profitable anymore. Right? The only profitable company is UFC. PFL is clearly like I've dug into it myself. They raised like $500 million, right? And they are estimation that from what I've checked, they are blowing through that money quickly, right? So they keep having to do more raises and get more investors and get more venture capital. And I think that buying Bellator is going to save their business, right? But they're not making money, making a profit currently, right? I saw their last show that they did, the pay-per-view one, with all the titles. The venue was, most of the tickets were blocked out. They only had, I think, 2 or 3 sections that were open for, and the tickets were like $1,000, $2,000, something crazy amount of money, right? So they're clearly not making any money. I know that they're not making much money, right? So if people in America with backing, with the talent pool America has, they are struggling to compete in America with the UFC, or struggling to even be profitable as a business. So why do we think? To be fair, I think the ones in the like those Octagon MMA, or those ones in Poland, KS, I think those ones they're probably doing well because you know why? Because they have a regional.
A circuit, basically.
You understand?
Even
Just
in the UK as well, they have what do you call it? Is it Cage Warriors or something?
Bama, the other one, Cage Warriors.
Yeah.
So I think those ones are sustainable because they've tied their destiny to the UFC. They're like, listen, we can run them around. They can bring their own local fan bases and grow and just do. And we can do enough here with the salary structure and everything to be sustainable. That's the model that Nigeria needs to do. But the reason it won't work in Nigeria now today, in my opinion, is because we don't have the amateur background of MMA here. You understand? Those guys have talent. There's guys that are training at gyms, jiu-jitsu, 5, 4, 6 years old.
There's a lot of raw talent.
Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, the first step for me in Nigeria is developing talent. You can't just go and put the promotion there and say, okay, you boxer, I come and fight MMA. And that obviously that's the beginning that's how you have started too. But it took them time to get to that point where it's like, okay, you boxer, come and box. And I think about it. A lot of those guys, boxers, and again, I'm in the trenches with these boxers, so I know what it is. So those guys, I'm sure they're like, listen, they are boxing for 5, 10 years, because they're 5 years old, because that's their dream. And even boxing as deep as boxing is in Nigeria, boxing doesn't make a lot of money too. Some guys, some promotions are doing okay, right? And they find a way to get those guys, like a Jagba found a way to America, whatever. Right. With all the amateur pedigree that is here. Right. But MMA, they're just taking guys that are maybe that are kickboxing or doing karate, that they can, and it's fine. But then To me, the first thing should be awareness. Okay, all you guys are the boxers, kickboxers, taekwondo guys, judo guys, wrestlers. Make all of them a day one camp together. You understand? You're not going to make money fighting judo. You're not going to make money. It's not likely to make money even boxing. Boxing is probably the most lucrative way out. You're not going to make money for kickboxing, doing taekwondo. Nobody cares. Nobody's watching those things globally. You understand? The one that you have a chance to get to the top faster is MMA. You can fight 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights. UFC will scout you, will sign you. Or you go to PFL and do tournaments for it's 1 million. You understand? So
Or even the
fighters,
LFA.
combat sports guys in Nigeria need to first understand how more. If you're not going to be, if you're not the top prospect going to the Olympics for boxing, taekwondo, all these things, right? Start looking at MMA. Let them just understand that MMA is the place where they can still live out their dreams of fighting and earning money, right? Now start to now before the promotion comes, and that's what I think that those Nigerian promoters are missing. You understand?
No,
They're just going straight to business. So like, how can we make money?
it's really crazy, right? But then don't worry, I'm going to manifest something now, right? So at some point, in the not too distant future, we will be having Israel Adesanya on this podcast. We'll be having Kamarisman on the podcast as well, right? Uh, as well, we're currently talking with. Oh, I see you're currently on mute. Okay, okay. Uh-huh. So when we have these guys on the pod, I'll have these discussions with them, and hopefully in the not too distant future as well, I'll have Uncle Dana White on the podcast. I'll discuss the.
Then I need to bring the listing here. Bring the what do you call that?
He needs to bring the
Yeah.
UFC.
Bring the PR to Nigeria.
To Nigeria. Yes, exactly. Because there's a ton of talent in Nigeria, and it's going to change the landscape. Think about what Easy and Kamaru Usman have done, in the UFC. Think about we have just very few Nigerians in the UFC, and then they really don't work for themselves. Kennedy Zechuku, Super Sadiq. Who else? Who else do we have currently? Chidi Njokiani.
Chidi Njokiani doesn't really claim Nigeria, but we have him. We have Hakim Dawodu. Doesn't really claim Nigeria, but we have him here.
Yes,
not too many, but a bunch of them.
Yeah, the very few Nigerians in the UFC are doing great. They are above average, and you imagine the talent pool that is way back home.
They're going to do great.
They're going to do a lot of great stuff. Okay, so what advice do you have for young up and coming people, people who are getting into career, who are getting into business, young people, the forthcoming 30s, under 30s, like what advice do you have for them?
Well, try to find what you like to do and figure out what career you can build off of that. Right? Whatever you like to do, find a way you can build. Because I feel like with the way the world is going now, it's tough for you to do what you don't like doing. I think, and back in the day, there was a good trade-off because we were getting paid, a big lot of money from just doing what I have a job, I'm working 9 to 5. I don't like my job, but now there's a lot of career transitioning going on globally, and the world is shifting. So this is, and the world is more open than ever. So I think right now you have a chance to find your passion and figure out how that passion can make you make a career, make you money, and just go to that. And you have to be consistent. Things are not easy. I know a lot of our generation and the people after us, we can become a bit entitled. But
millennials and Gen Zs.
That's not it is. You have to push it by yourself. Nobody can give you anything. Now you give yourself. Now you go to chase and you follow it by yourself and get what you've worked hard for. And obviously, you want to be treated nice and whatever, all those things that you want to be treated nice at your job, whatnot. But there has to be your mind that you have to do the things you need to do. Because when if you have a job that is minimum wage, that is a shitty job, just because you want to build your dreams, that's okay. Just give yourself a timeline and a go Okay, I will do this job for 3, 4, 5 years, and I'll invest the money that I'm getting from here into this, and stick with that plan. It's not easy. It's not easy to stick with the plan and follow through, and not buy the Gucci that everybody's buying. It's tough, but you have to do it because now you go tell yourself later. So just try to find what you like, chase it with all your heart, and be consistent with it. And that's what I can tell you.
So keywords from your pieces of advice, right? Passion, hard work, consistency, dedication.
Consistency.
You know,
That's the
yeah,
biggest. That's the biggest one. Consistency. It's very difficult to be consistent. So that's one that you have to just
interesting.
work hard towards.
Interesting. So before we let you go, right? We have a tradition on the pod, right? So we're in the previous guest, leaves a question for the current guest, and the current guest leaves, a question for the next guest. But interestingly, we had a double special in the previous episode. So we had two co-founders of the Augment Business School drop questions for you, Mayowa. So, do you want to know what the questions they dropped for you are?
Sure, sure,
Okay.
sure.
The number one question is, what are you most proud of?
What am I most proud of?
Yes.
I'm most proud of. That's a good question. Oof. You know what? I'll say my first degree because it took me a while to get that degree. So I got it finally. So that's what I was proud of. I think currently, just because of how long the journey was to get that degree. That's what I was proud of.
Interesting. So the bigger the pain, the bigger the gain, or the
Oh
longer
man,
the story, the bigger the glory.
come on.
Is that it for you?
It was a tough. It was a
Tough,
tough
tough and
journey.
long
So
road, right? Okay, interesting. So the second question, left by, I think this must have been led by Joe. So the first one was led by Roy, and the second by Joe. It says, "What's that thing you would be doing if you weren't doing what you are currently doing now? Like, what's like the second best thing you would have been doing with your life if you're not doing what you're currently doing?"
you know what? I feel like my friends are here, so I think they'll start laughing. And what is this saying?
They put you on the
I
spot.
think I think if I go back to, I could have been a fighter, maybe boxing, maybe something. I feel like if I started when I was young, I could have been
Interesting one. Interesting one. So finally, what question would you like to leave for the next guest to
a
answer?
fighter. When you speak to them, and I hope I'll watch it so I will get the answer. What do they? Where do they think the world is headed?
Where do
Just
you
in
think
general.
the world is heading? Wow. Wow.
Like
If
if
you
I
were to say that in Yoruba, do you speak Yoruba?
not the way you enjoy it. I sound like an Igbo person, so
Ah,
I'm very.
wow. Like that would actually sound, interesting in Yoruba.
Say it,
But
say it, say it.
let me see. Let me see. Ibo ni ayin dori kobai,
Yeah,
or
you're like me now. You're right.
that
You're
kind of
right.
thing.
You won't be like,
No, I'm
oh,
trying to,
see
like,
this guy.
there are
Why is
different
God
ways.
divide
There
me?
are different ways to put. There are different ways to put it actually. So you can say ibolayen lobai, right? Like
True,
that
true.
is your hair. So, but also you could also say iboni ayen doriko, because heading ori is head. You get it. So like sometimes in Yoruba there are like different ways to say one exact thing.
Say the same thing.
You
Yeah,
know. So ibolayen doriko
yeah,
or
but just
ibolayen.
like what do they think the world is heading? Like politically, economically, like what do they think the prospects of the world are in the next like 5 years?
In the next
What do
five
they see the
years.
world
Okay.
next 5 years? What do they see the world in the next 5 years?
Okay, interesting. So that interview will take place much later today, and I'll send you clips of
Who's the
what's
guest? Who's the person?
yeah. Uh, not to give much away, he's a musician.
So you can
Interesting,
I'm happy for that because the guy didn't come with that kind of intellectual conversation, but he will explain, and I'll be there.
Okay. Anyways, he's an intellectual as well. Like he has an
No, no, no.
MSc.
I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
So
but amazing.
okay, interesting. So basically, it's all about sharing the stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things with the focus, with the aim of inspiring people, especially the up and coming people. We want to be the reason why people do not lose hope. We want to be the reason why people have faith in themselves. Because we are giving back to the society to inspire the up and coming people. So thank you very much for your time, Mayowa Balogun. It's been a long,
Oh,
interesting, fantastic episode. For a man of your nature and stature, to give us, this long hours of your time. It is it is very much in line to show, to express a lot of gratitude. So we appreciate you
it's my
for your
pleasure.
time. Yeah, thank
Thank you for
you.
having me.
Bless you.